Chapter 829. Sha Xinliang and Qin Baoshan stood upright and listened respectfully. Strange pop-up window cue, but Chu Yang was silent, pondering over the meaning of Han Xiaoran's words. He had been trying his best to hide his cultivation, but Han Xiaoran said, "Although you're not weak, you're still a little weak." This sentence was enough to show that he couldn't hide his cultivation from Han Xiaoran. In other words, the current stage of the Thousand Phantom technique couldn't make Han Xiaoran misjudge him. Then Han Xiaoran said, "I look forward to your success." This sentence was obviously looking forward to Chu Yang's influence, and not his martial arts cultivation. As long as the Chu clan's prestige and status rose, his reputation as a divine doctor would be able to complement the Chu clan's strength. Neither of them could be omitted. With the Chu clan's strength, even if the Chu clan was fully supported by Han Xiaoran for 100 years, it might not be able to catch his eye. With Chu Yang's medical skills, if he were to break into the world alone, he would either be captured or killed. It would be hopeless for him to stand out alone. So, only when the two complemented each other, could the Chu clan's strength rise like a rocket in a short period of time. It could achieve Han Xiaoran's goal. So, Han Xiaoran had made it clear that he was fully supporting the Chu clan. Chu Yang frowned and pondered. This also means that although Han Xiaoran downplayed the matter of the southeast region, it might not be so easy. Similarly, although he said it with a heavy heart, it wasn't that he lacked confidence. It was opportunity. Lack of opportunity, waiting for opportunity. Behind Tong Wuxin was one of the dominant clans, the Shi clan. Their strength was continuous and they occupied one half of the continent. How could they be easily humiliated? Han Xiaoran turned to look at Chu Yang. Seeing that Chu Yang was deep in thought and seemed to have understood something, Han Xiaoran's eyes revealed a look of approval. He knew that Chu Yang had more or less understood his meaning. You can't hide your cultivation from a martial saint. Do you understand? Han Xiaoran said lightly. Chu Yang raised his head in horror. "Thank you for enlightening me." He thought, "It seems that I need to cultivate the Thousand Phantom technique further." Han Xiaoran pondered for a while and said, "Both of you, during this period of time, do your own things well. While improving your strength, do your best to support the Chu clan and let the Chu clan grow stronger as soon as possible. The flat mountain ridge can't be monopolized by one force. It's best to unite them." He frowned slightly and said casually, "What Liao family? Just ban them." Yes, Sha Xinliang and Qin Baoshan agreed at the same time. Han Xiaoran made it sound as if the two big clans were not worth mentioning. Sha Xinliang and Qin Baoshan also agreed as if it was absolutely natural. From this, it could be seen how powerful the law enforcement officers were. In this way, as long as the Chu clan can be successfully integrated in the shortest amount of time, its strength will be greatly improved. However, the unification and internal digestion after the integration is an extremely complicated matter. "Little brother, do you have any good ideas?" Han Xiaoran asked. "That's all." Chu Yang sneered and said, "How can we still have the time to use conciliatory methods to divide and influence them bit by bit? We can only use the most forceful method to unify them into a group. Those who obey me will prosper, and those who oppose me will perish. That's it. As for the future troubles, even if there are, there will be none after the thunderous methods are integrated. I really didn't misjudge you. Little brother, you're someone who can achieve great things." Han Xiaoran smiled with relief. "Desperate times call for desperate measures." Chu Yang smiled faintly. "Yes, and the purple cloud pills that I've given to Sha Xinliang and Qin Baoshan will be in danger if they take them. At that time, we need a brilliant doctor to take care of them. We mustn't let these two guys not only fail to improve their cultivation, but also explode into minced meat. That's not worth the loss." Han Xiaoran smiled slightly. "Elder brother, don't worry," Chu Yang said solemnly. "With me here, as long as the purple cloud pills really have that kind of effect, I guarantee that they'll advance to the martial saint level smoothly." "That's good." Han Xiaoran was relieved. "Little brother, your first sentence is better than any other guarantee." Sha Xinliang and Qin Baoshan were also relieved. The purple cloud pill was really the #1 treasure of the law enforcement hall. Back then, the third-generation Dharma Supreme was proficient in pharmacology. After thousands of years, he gathered countless rare medicines and wanted to refine the pill for his dying father to increase his cultivation and compete with heaven for his lifespan. Although he didn't succeed in the end, the prescription of this magical pill was passed down. After being modified by generations of Dharma Supreme, it was discovered that although this prescription couldn't increase one's lifespan, it could increase one's martial power. Moreover, it could increase one's cultivation by as much as 500 years. The only drawback was that the medicinal effect was too strong. Generally, after taking it, one would probably explode and die on the spot. And even if a monarch took it, there was a 100% risk of his body exploding. And once he reached the martial saint level, he wouldn't be able to use the medicinal effect to increase his cultivation. It was a magical pill, but also extremely poisonous. This pill was named the Purple Cloud Pill from then on. It became the top secret medicine of the law enforcement hall, and was also a great means to cultivate experts. When Sha Xinliang and Qin Baoshan heard about the Purple Cloud Pill, they were both happy and worried. Now that they heard Chu Yang's promise, they were slightly relieved. Little brother, when Yi Wubua from the Yi clan brings over 10,000 purple crystals, the Chu clan can keep 8,000 purple crystals. Han Xiaoran added 3,000 purple crystals from the original 5,000 purple crystals. Okay, Chu Yang didn't decline and agreed directly. These 8,000 purple crystals were what the Chu clan urgently needed at the moment. Since they wanted to expand their forces, how could they do it without purple crystals? Well, the integration and development of the Chu clan will be smooth in 4 months, right? Han Xiaoran asked. Chu Yang lowered his head and frowned. The time is too short, but it should be enough. That's good. Half a year later, on the 10th day of March next year, there will be a medicine banquet in the Zhuge clan. At that time, all the outstanding pharmacists from the big clans and law enforcement officers will go. All the seniors from the Medicine Valley will also go. Even the Dharma Supreme will send an MC. Little brother, if you want to stand out and make a name for yourself, that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Han Xiaoran said solemnly. Chu Yang's eyes lit up. Medicine banquet? Han Xiaoran said, yes. At that time, it will not only be a competition between pharmacists, but also to determine the new generation's #1 pharmacist. Moreover, all kinds of exotic flowers and herbs will appear one by one there. That place is equivalent to a super big market and super big auction. Everything will be hosted by the headquarters of the law enforcement officers. To ensure that nothing goes wrong. The big clans will be there with sufficient financial resources, and everyone will take what they need. So, there will be people who will make a fortune, and there will also be people who will go bankrupt. Han Xiaoran's words had a deeper meaning. This is a good opportunity. Chu Yang squinted his eyes and started to daydream. For people with superb medical skills like you, it's indeed a great opportunity. Han Xiaoran said, you must know that even if you have medical skills but no medicine, you'll be greatly discounted. Especially if you can make a name for yourself there, you'll immediately become popular. In heaven, as long as you're recognized by the Medicine Valley, you'll become the target of recruitment by the big clans. And with such a divine doctor, it'll be equivalent to having an excellent protective amulet. He smiled and looked at Chu Yang. Little brother, are you interested? Chu Yang said without hesitation, of course. I'm very interested. His voice was even a little excited. The sword spirit in Chu Yang's consciousness space was also so happy that his mouth cracked open. It seemed that a top-class banquet was about to unfold in front of him. Medicine banquet? Ha! Chu Yang's tribulation sword hadn't had top-class medicine for a long time. As long as he entered that place and had enough financial resources, then wouldn't Tribulation Sword be able to eat whatever he wanted? Moreover, even if he didn't have enough financial resources, wouldn't he have Han Xiaoran's help? To say the least, even if he didn't have the financial resources and Han Xiaoran's help, wouldn't he be able to steal from Tribulation Sword? Damn it, if he wanted to steal from Tribulation Sword, who could stop him? King of Hell Chu's imagination was running wild. If you're interested, come to the southeast headquarters to find me. I'll wait for you there and give you the identity of a member of the law enforcement hall to follow me there. Han Xiaoran said. Chu Yang smiled and said, Since you've already made up your mind, I'll naturally be happy to comply. Han Xiaoran smiled and said, "Today, we'll start to clean up the Chu clan and increase our strength. Then, your identity will definitely be exposed. So, when the time comes, not only will I provide you with an identity, I'll also change your appearance. I hope you'll be prepared early." Yang said, "I know. If there's a top pharmacist in the world in the Chu clan now, I'm afraid the Chu clan will disappear from this world in less than half a month. But if I use the identity of a member of the law enforcement hall, it'll be completely different." Han Xiaoran's eyes were full of admiration. Chu Yang's comprehension ability really made him admire him. Chu Yang could infer many things from one instance. So much so that he had only started to speak, and Chu Yang had already understood everything. It was really comfortable and pleasant to talk to such a person. After the medicine banquet, you'll have to gain fame. Then, with fame, you'll be able to rely on others to enter another important occasion to absorb talents. Han Xiaoran's face was solemn, and this occasion is the key. It's also the key to your future achievements. Chu Yang said, "Oh?" Han Xiaoran said, "What I'm talking about is the Heavenly Prosperity Assembly." Heavenly Tripod Assembly? Chu Yang was puzzled. Yes, the Heavenly Tripod Assembly is an assembly held once every 100 years in the Heavenly Tripod continent. It's also a chance for the martial artists in the world to reach the heavens in one step. And you, if you become the new king of medicine, then you'll have the chance to become this heavens in one step. Han Xiaoran smiled and said, "If the big clans really have a conspiracy to deal with the law enforcement officers, our forces will also start to take shape at that time." Chu Yang nodded solemnly. He had vaguely heard about the Heavenly Tripod Assembly and the medicine banquet before, but he didn't know much about it. Now that he knew that it was actually these two places, he was instantly interested. To be continued. Chapter 830. You can marry me if you want. Lu Tingyun said, "Love without sexual bliss won't last long. If you want a woman to belong to you forever, the first thing you have to do is to make sure she can't leave your bed." "Is it really just pain?" Mu Han didn't believe it and asked again. Han Jingyan nodded her head like a rattledrum. Mu Han was deeply affected by her straightforwardness. He pulled his hair and his face turned green and white. Han Jingyan looked at him in fear. She was afraid that Mu Han would pounce on her and force himself on her. To do it or not to do it? This was a question worth pondering. Looking at Han Jingyan's pitiful and aggrieved look, Mu Han was very conflicted. He was currently looking up. He was burning with desire and his heart was itching unbearably. If he stopped at this time, it would most likely leave a scar for the rest of his life. He might even be impotent forever. Han Jingyan's expression gave him the heaviest blow to his dignity as a man. As a true powerhouse, how could he not let his woman experience sexual bliss? He pulled his hair and pressed down on Han Jingyan again with a pale face. He didn't give up and asked again, "You really didn't enjoy it?" Han Jingyan's face was as red as a tomato. She squeezed out a voice from between her teeth, "No." She was so resolute that it hurt Mu Han. How could this be? He looked at his erect little brother and then looked at Han Jingyan with an expression that said, "Don't even think about forcing yourself on me again." Mu Han had to admit that he was being looked down upon. Moreover, it was a question of a man's ability. He looked at Han Jingyan aggrievedly and coaxed softly, "Be good. Let me try again, okay? My little brother really hurts." Han Jingyan's face was burning red. After hearing his shameless words, she really wanted to tear his mouth apart. He looked at her and said, "You just said that you will love me. My little brother is really in pain. Can you bear to see it impotent forever?" Han Jingyan was embarrassed and angry. She didn't know who Mu Han learned this shameless look from. She really wanted to slap this shameless pervert to death. However, she thought about it again. His willingness to coax her meant that he was in a good mood. If she really dared to slap him, there was no guarantee that he wouldn't go berserk and torture her to death. The more she thought about it, the more she couldn't make up her mind. Her life had been ruined by Mu Han. When he was in a good mood, she was his lover in the palm of his hand. When he was unhappy, she was a slave crawling at his feet. Blocked. Han Jingyan's eyes were red as he looked at him, feeling wronged. Although Mu Han's gaze was gentle, it carried the unquestionable authority of a superior. Her face was as red as a ripe tomato, making people want to take a bite. Good girl, don't let it wait too long. He wrapped his arms around her waist and smiled fawningly. You have to learn to adapt, right? You said you would love me, right? We are doing what is good for love. Why don't you kiss it? He looked at her with a burning gaze and saw her face turn red as if blood was about to drip out. He felt even more aggrieved than her. Lu Tingyun's girlfriend always helps him suck on his penis. Little Yen, didn't you say you would love me? Who would ask someone else's lover like this? Han Jingyan was so embarrassed that she couldn't raise her head. Mu Han was still nagging her. She really wanted to find a hole to hide in. Did he want her to live or not? Blocked. Mu Han was so happy that he immediately stripped himself naked. He pressed Han Jingyan's hand to his crotch and coaxed softly. It likes you a lot. Touch it. He had always been direct in his masturbation. In the past, those women would always faint from his violence, but they would still stick to him when they woke up. Therefore, he always thought that he was very good in this aspect. Mu Han had never thought that this kind of masturbation was wrong. It was only when Han Jingyan cried out in pain and begged for mercy that he started to realize that he was a little too rough. He didn't know much about sex. Although Lu Tingyun was an expert in masturbation, he always gave him dirty tricks. He would spoof Japanese adult education films for him. Mu Han learned from him. He wanted to give Han Jingyan a happy sex life, but he didn't expect that it would be so far away. It even left a shadow in Han Jingyan's heart. Han Jingyan touched Mu Han as she shed tears. She didn't tell him what she was feeling, but she just couldn't stop her tears. She felt that she was really cheap. She was no different from a prostitute. Blocked. Han Jingyan opened her eyes and glared at the hand that was being held tightly by Mu Han. She really wanted to chop off the ugly thing that was slowly growing in her hand. She bit her lower lip. The more she thought about it, the more she wanted to cry. Why didn't it let her go? Blocked. He smiled coldly. Han Jingyan, this is mine. Han Jingyan shouted, No, you said you wanted to use your hand. She blamed him angrily. Mu Han shrugged and smiled. You believe a man's words in bed? You're so silly and naive. Chapter 8:31. Seeing that the moon had already set to the west, Han Shaoran finished the wine in front of him. His body was a little shaky and he said, Little brother, it's not early anymore. From today onwards, your life will be stormy. It's better for you to rest early. What a surprise. Chu Yang laughed and turned his thoughts back to the Chu clan. He thought, what's the situation in the Chu clan now? Han Shaoran stood up and patted Chu Yang's shoulder. He seemed to be a little drunk, but Chu Yang knew that he wasn't drunk. With Han Shaoran's alcohol tolerance, he wouldn't be drunk even if there were dozens of jars of wine, let alone this much wine. But often, the words spoken when one pretended to be drunk were the true insights. Since Han Shaoran behaved like this, there must be something important that he wanted to tell Chu Yang that was inconvenient to say when he was sober. So, Chu Yang immediately pricked up his ears. Han Shaoran was drunk and laughed loudly. Then he lowered his voice and leaned his whole body on Chu Yang's shoulder, as if he was too drunk to stand. Sha Xinliang and Qin Baoshan put their arms around each other's shoulders knowingly and whispered at one side. Han Shaoran leaned close to Chu Yang's ear and laughed softly. He said, Brother, there's no other choice in this world. No matter if you want to do good or do evil, you need power. And all these require power and influence. As long as you have fame, you can have influence. With influence, you can have power. Only when you have power, you can have people to rely on. That's why you have power. If you want to do good, but you don't have power, then don't talk about helping others. You don't even dare to marry a beautiful wife, because you can't protect her. Marrying a beautiful wife is just waiting to be cuckolded. If you want to do evil but you don't have power, you can only be a model. If you have power, even if you kill someone in front of the Dharma Supreme, the Dharma Supreme will also turn a blind eye. Just like Yi Wubwa, isn't he evil? But today, even I can only watch him leave. Punishing him with 10,000 purple crystals is just a small gesture. Everyone, do you want face? Yi Wubwa has done too many evil deeds in his life. He should have died 100 times. Don't I want to kill him? Don't I want to catch him? But he has power behind him, the Yi clan. This is called being helpless. So what if your chest hurts from holding it in? So, little brother, in this life, you must not be helpless. Don't be as helpless as this old brother. The laws of heaven are the most sacred things. I hold them in my hands, but I don't dare to kill them. If there are scruples about the law, then what kind of law is this? If you also feel helpless, then you will feel helpless. So, entering this life, in order to not feel helpless, we have to do something, something that can make us feel less helpless. Han Shaoran laughed. Isn't this also a kind of helplessness? He let go of Chu Yang's shoulder and roared as he left. He laughed all the way. Helpless ah, helpless ah. His body disappeared into the thick darkness of the night amidst the helpless sound of his voice. Chu Yang stood there in a daze. He pondered over the meaning of these words for a long time. Then he slowly turned around and walked back. Before he left, he didn't say goodbye to Sha Xinliang and Qin Baoshan. Since Han Shaoran told him in this way, his meaning was obvious. Don't let Sha Xinliang know about it. Why don't I let him know? Chu Yang asked himself. Because Sha Xinliang doesn't have such courage, Chu Yang answered himself. Then what did he mean? Did he just say that he felt helpless? No, he told me that I have to build up my own strength and influence first. But he already said that just now. What he said just now was to build up everyone's influence. Not my influence. My influence, what is my influence? My influence is the influence that I can completely make decisions for myself. This kind of influence is different from what he said just now. Of course it's different, because this is the real backup plan that Han Shaoran has arranged. Once everyone's influence fails, there must be a completely independent influence left. So, although Han Shaoran has planned this operation thoroughly, he still isn't confident. So he reminded me that although he's the leader now, I can't rely on him for everything. Yes, I need to have my own plans. Rely on yourself for everything. This is the real meaning of what Han Shaoran wanted to say. Chu Yang walked all the way back to the Chu clan silently. When Chu Yang reached home, it was almost dawn. But the Chu clan was still in a busy and sorrowful state. Chu Yang was caught by his mother, who had been waiting anxiously for a long time, and interrogated. After dealing with his parents, he was called by his grandfather for another round of interrogation. Is it you? Chu Xiongqing looked at his grandson blankly, and his eyes were red. Chu Yang realized that half of his grandfather's hair had turned white overnight. It has something to do with me, Chu Yang said frankly, but it wasn't me who did it. Chu Xiongqing let out a long sigh and sat on the chair wearily. He waved his hand and asked Chu Yang to go back and rest. However, he seemed to have lost all his strength and didn't want to say a word. Chu Yang sighed, bowed and turned to leave. I can guess what he's done all these years. Although I don't have any evidence, I've always been suspicious. Chu Xiongqing said softly when Chu Yang was about to leave the room. Chu Yang paused. But I didn't do anything, Chu Xiongqing murmured. Because he's still your flesh and blood, Chu Yang said quietly. I can understand you, but I can't agree with you. And I won't agree with you. That's because you're still young, and you haven't been a father, Chu Xiongqing said sadly. Maybe. Chu Yang was silent for a while and said, but even if I'm a father, I won't allow an unfilial child to cause another obedient child to be wronged and persecuted. Chu Yang said lightly, it's good for a son to be filial, but a filial son doesn't mean that you'll allow him to be wronged indefinitely. Chu Xiongqing sighed deeply, a bowl of water isn't full. But it's also because of this that the Chu clan has always been in a half-dead state and hasn't improved for so many years. Chu Yang said, as the clan master, you're not just a father. You don't have the right to let thousands of people in the clan die for an unfilial son. After saying that, Chu Yang walked out of the door without looking back. Chu Xiongqing sat beside the coffin, motionless under the oil lamp. After a long time, his tears fell silently and he sighed, "But even if I'm wrong, I'm still a father." The next day, in the morning, the Chu clan, which was busy with the funeral, welcomed a distinguished guest. The law enforcement officer of the southeast region, Han Xiaoran, entered the Chu clan in a high-profile manner. The local law enforcement hall was escorted by 80 law enforcement officers, and Commander Sha Xinliang cleared the way. The law enforcement auction hall was escorted by Clan Master Qin Baoshan, and all the members of the law enforcement bloodpayers hall were following behind. Han Xiaoran entered the Chu clan with a great momentum and shook the entire flat mountain ridge. He made an agreement with the clan master of the Chu clan, Chu Xiongqing, and gave the Chu clan the right to escort goods. Then, a few law enforcement officers spread the news and issued orders to various places. They even reported to the top clan in the southeast region, the Shao clan, immediately. This was equivalent to Han Xiaoran declaring to the Shao clan, "In the future, the Chu clan will be under my protection. Please let go of the Shao clan. For the sake of the law enforcement officers, please give me face." Han Xiaoran's cultivation was definitely not the highest in the southeast region. Even in the Shao clan, there were many people whose cultivation was higher than Han Xiaoran's. However, Han Xiaoran's identity was directly under the Dharma Supreme, the law enforcement officer of the southeast region. This identity was like that of a governor of the border. Who dared to disrespect him? The Chu clan had the backing of the entire southeast law enforcement officers and the Dharma Supreme. Therefore, no matter how unhappy the Shao clan was, they could only accept it for the time being. At the same time, Han Xiaoran sent out news to the elders of the Liao clan and Bao clan, as well as the temporary elders of the Shao clan, to rush to the Chu clan and announce the dominant position of the Chu clan in the flat mountain ridge. They even killed 7 elders of the Liao clan and Bao clan who dared to disagree with them. They used their blood to show their determination to bring the Liao clan and Bao clan into the Chu clan's territory. If there's any problem with the goods, both of you will be held responsible. Han Xiaoran's words completely stopped the Liao clan and Bao clan from having any devious thoughts. The ruthlessness of the law enforcement officers, Han Xiaoran's heartlessness, and the silence of the Shao clan made the Liao clan and Bao clan feel as if they had fallen into an ice cave. Han Xiaoran sat coldly on the high platform, full of murderous intent. Beside him, the law enforcement officers from the Law Enforcement Hall, the Law Enforcement Auction Hall, and the Law Enforcement Bloodpayers Hall all had murderous looks in their eyes. Obviously, as long as the 2 clans dared to say no, they would be exterminated. Under the threat of survival if they nodded, and death if they shook their heads, the 2 heads of the Liao clan and Bao clan could only sign this inexplicable contract with tears in their eyes. This was really a disaster that fell from the heavens. Moreover, they couldn't figure out the reason at all. Since ancient times, there had been many annexations by aristocratic clans, but it was the first time that law enforcement officers came out to help annexation. They really didn't know what kind of luck the Chu clan had to encounter such a thing that fell from the heavens. Subsequently, Han Xiaoran announced that Chu Feiling, Chu Fian and Chu Feian from the Chu clan would be the commanders of the caravan. And they were awarded the flag that represented the southeast law enforcement officer on the spot. This action showed that Han Xiaoran was trying his best to support the Chu clan. It was obvious that he was trying his best. He wanted the Liao clan and Bao clan to give up completely. Subsequently, Qin Baoshan represented the law enforcement auction hall to pay the Chu clan a deposit of 3,000 purple crystals. This made everyone's jaws drop. All along, it was the caravan that paid the law enforcement auction hall as a deposit, and after the goods arrived safely, the deposit would be returned to the law enforcement auction hall after it was confirmed that there was no mistake. But now, the law enforcement auction hall actually paid the deposit first? There was such a saying? Finally, Han Xiaoran expressed his deep condolences for the death of the second master of the Chu clan, Chu Feilong, and said, "The murderer has been found, and the law enforcement hall has punished him. The murderer is willing to pay 8,000 purple crystals as compensation to the Chu clan." To be continued. Chapter 8:32. After completing the ceremony, Han Xiaoran had a cordial conversation with Clan Master Chu Xiongqing. Then he warned the other big clans and left hurriedly. Strange pop-up window Q, he came and went as fast as lightning. Everyone felt as if they were in a dream. Everyone in the Chu clan felt the same way. This was a great thing for the Chu clan. Even the sad atmosphere caused by the death of Chu Feilong's father was blown away to the greatest extent. Originally, the biggest source of income for the Chu clan in the flat mountain ridge was to compete with the other two clans for the Shao clan's trade route. As for the trade with the law enforcement hall, the Chu clan didn't even dare to think about it. That was a big cake, but the Chu clan didn't have the ability to eat it. Besides, the law enforcement officers were known to be difficult to talk to. Once there was a little mistake, even if the Chu clan lost the entire clan, it wouldn't be enough to make up for the anger of the law enforcement officers. But now, such a great thing was not only sent to the Chu clan, but also gave them preferential treatment. Not only did the Chu clan give them a source of income, but they also didn't need to bear any responsibility. How could there be such a good thing? The Liao clan and the Bao clan were completely shocked. In this case, even if they submitted to the Chu clan, it wouldn't be a bad thing. Because it was obvious that the Chu clan had a lot of connections. It was good to lean on a big tree. Now that the Chu clan had just started to develop, there wasn't much that could be done. As long as everyone worked hard and developed, they wouldn't be mistreated, right? Their future was bright. The Chu clan immediately became busy. Master Chu Xiongqing took this opportunity to integrate the three big clans. The two commanders, Chu Feiling and Chu Fian, were immediately appointed. All the experts above the 5th grade of martial emperor from the three big clans were selected to form a group of bodyguards for the caravan. Each clan sent out 3 martial monarchs, while the Chu clan sent out 4 martial monarchs. A total of 10 martial monarchs were to hold the fort. The bodyguards were ready to go on the road and start the trade. The resistance from the other two big clans didn't happen. Instead, they cooperated. Everything went smoothly. The Liao clan became the second hall of the Chu clan, and the Bao clan became the third. The Chu clan naturally became the headquarters. In the afternoon, Qin Baoshan from the law enforcement auction hall sent a message. There was a mission. Chu Feiling and Chu Fian immediately set off on their journey to strengthen the Chu clan. The Chu clan's funeral was also hastily handled. Although the situation was still solemn, it wasn't considered a big occasion. This was because old Master Chu was still alive. Chu Feilong's father would at most die a premature death. It wouldn't be a major funeral. This was the custom of the Chong Tian. Everything was carried out in secret. Everything was simple and fast. Divine Dr. Chu looked and listened for a while, and finally realized that even if he wasn't here, it didn't seem to matter. Actually, it was like he had hunted a rabbit on the night of the 35th day of the Lunar New Year. With or without him, he would still celebrate the Lunar New Year. So, Divine Dr. Chu wanted to slip away. Taking advantage of the fact that no one was paying attention, Chu Yang quietly started to move. After taking a few steps, he was grabbed by a pair of small hands. "Take me back too." It was Chu Le. The little girl was very tired. Because Chu Le insisted on following him, and she was so tired that she couldn't walk, Chu Yang could only carry this little girl on his back. How pitiful. Divine Dr. Chu sighed in his heart. Even if I'm in the law enforcement hall, I have a special carriage to sit in. But in my own home, I don't even have such treatment. Just as he left the Chu clan's gate, he saw a few black-clothed people standing in front of the gate. Behind him, there was a person who was looking at Chu Yang with unfriendly eyes. Chu Yang frowned. These 7 people were from the Shao clan's flat mountain ridge branch. The first person to enter was the temporary host of the Shao clan. He was still inside just now. Why did he suddenly appear here? Looking at the situation, it seemed that the host was specially here to block him. "You're Chu Yang? The master of the purple crystals Huichun Hall?" The first person looked at Chu Yang with gloomy eyes and a hooked nose. He looked at Chu Yang with some disdain and asked lightly, "What do you want from the Shao clan?" Chu Yang, who was carrying Chu Le, didn't put her down. He curled his lips and replied lightly, "You're rude to me, so how can I be respectful to you? Shao clan? So what? Wasn't Shao Yulong crippled by me? Shao Yulong fell into your trap? Not only did he die tragically, But he also compensated you with a large sum of purple crystals? The hooked nose asked heavily. That's the punishment of the law enforcement officers. It has nothing to do with me. Chu Yang pushed the blame away cleanly. The hooked nose snorted coldly. His face was covered with a layer of frost. You think that you can do whatever you want with the law enforcement officers backing you up? Chu Yang sneered and said, You're right. If all the law enforcement officers in the world are backing me up, then I really have nothing to fear. The hooked nose was so angry that he couldn't say anything. He snorted heavily and said, I'm Xiao Yuqing. Chu Yang said weakly, I've heard a lot about you. Xiao Yulong is my younger cousin. Xiao Yuqing looked at Chu Yang with his eagle-like eyes and said heavily, Not only did he die for no reason, but he also died too unjustly. Chu Yang sighed and said, All the people who die say this? Xiao Yuqing sneered. He lowered his voice and said, Grand Duke Chu, you'll say this very soon. You dare to blackmail my Xiao clan. You've got guts. Chu Yang said impatiently, Do you dare to kill me today? Xiao Yulong said angrily, Do you think I don't dare? Chu Yang sighed and walked over with Chu Lu on his back. He stretched out his hand and pushed Xiao Yuqing to one side. He walked past Xiao Yuqing and scolded, There's always such a group of idiots in the world. They obviously don't dare to, but they still say that they dare to. They're just flaunting their authority with their mouths. I've seen a lot of such idiots. If you want to kill me, just kill me. Cut the crap. To think that I thought that someone with some backbone had come. I didn't expect that I've wasted half a day's worth of saliva. Just now, when the law enforcement master was here, I didn't see this guy being so awesome. When Sha Xinliang and the other law enforcement officers were here, this guy also didn't dare to fart. But now, he's blocking me. He really knows how to bully others. Tomorrow, I'll catch a rat and scold him. Isn't he just bullying the weak and fearing the strong? Who doesn't know how to do that? As he scolded, he carried Chu Lu and walked away. Xiao Yuqing was so angry that he almost couldn't breathe. He glared at Chu Yang as he walked away with Chu Lu on his back. After a long time, he finally started to pant. The other law enforcement officers also turned purple with anger. Chu Yang, when you land in my hands, I'll make you pay 1,000 times the price for what you said today. Xiao Yuqing panted. Don't think that you can sit back and relax just because you've curried favor with the law enforcement officers. He thought that Chu Yang wouldn't be able to hear him because he didn't have any cultivation. But he didn't expect that Chu Yang could hear every word clearly. In front of him, Chu Lu's crisp laughter could be heard. Brother Chu Yang, your words are really hooligan. But I like it. Hee hee. Xiao Yuqing's face became distorted. Chu Yang said faintly, You must remember that it's okay to scold such a cowardly person. You can even scold his own mother. Yes, yes. Big brother, you're so awesome. I'll remember it. That person doesn't dare to say a word after being scolded by you. But it's better that big brother doesn't scold his mother. That's not good. Yes, Ur is a good girl. She's soft-hearted. I like Gaga. Yes, I won't scold his mother in the future. Yes, big brother is so nice. You can just scold his father. The voices of the brother and sister faded away. The 7 members of the Xiao clan stood there in a daze. Murderous aura was emanating from Chu Yang's body. His face was distorted and smoke was coming out of his 7 orifices. Chu Yang didn't intend to speak nicely at all. He understood very well, since the Xiao clan had specially sent Xiao Yulong's cousin here to preside over this matter, then the meaning of this was obvious. One could even guess it with their knees. Since this matter couldn't be avoided or resolved no matter what, why should I swallow this insult? So, he took advantage of the fact that Xiao Yuqing was at the gate of the Chu clan. Moreover, Han Xiaoran had just supported him. He was sure that Xiao Yuqing wouldn't dare to lay his hands on him. So, he scolded him fiercely. Even if he still had to kill him in the end, this scolding still made him happy. The little girl's body was very light. But King of Hell Chu didn't use his cultivation, and only used his physical strength to carry her. In the end, it felt like he was carrying a small mountain. When Chu Yang returned to the Purple Crystal's Huichun Hall, he couldn't even lift his legs. When he finally arrived at the Purple Crystal's Huichun Hall, he saw that Huang Xiaoyou was angrily refusing to drink the medicine. Seeing that divine Dr. Chu wasn't around, Huang Xiaoyou finally started to make trouble. Chu Yang was very angry. He shouted, "Get lost if you don't want to drink it. Why do you have so many bad habits?" Huang Xiaoyou's whole body trembled as if he had heard thunder. His face turned pale, and he drank the medicine obediently. Now, when Huang Xiaoyou saw Chu Yang, it was as if he had seen the incarnation of a devil. He felt an indescribable fear. Then, he ran to the corner of the wall with a bitter face. He slanted his nose and mouth, and the corners of his mouth opened slightly. A line of bright saliva could be seen flowing down from the corner of his mouth. Drip, 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 drip. It was the bitter water that flowed out from the physiological reaction of his mouth. This kind of bitter water, no matter if it was too sour or too bitter, would flow out. Huang Xiaoyou couldn't vomit, but he realized that this could slightly reduce the uncomfortable feeling in his heart. So, every time he drank the medicine, he would lean against the corner of the wall and drool by himself. Huang Xiaoyou had been drinking the medicine for 3 days. In these 3 days, Huang Xiaoyou felt that he had already spent 3 years. No, it was 30 years. Every day, Huang Xiaoyou would feel full after drinking a bowl of yellowish medicinal soup. Even if he wasn't full, he would feel full from the disgust. It's like shit. Is this still a day? On the 4th day, the people from the Huang clan came back. Chu Yang still underestimated how much the Huang clan valued this only son. Not only did they bring back all the medicines that Chu Yang needed for the so-called second course of treatment, but they also brought back extremely detailed information. Not only that, the clan master of the Huang clan also came personally. He even brought along Huang Xiaoyou's mother, his 4 concubines, and Huang Xiaoyou's 2 wives, and a large number of experts to protect them. Such a huge lineup made divine Dr. Chu dumbfounded. To be continued. Chapter 8:33. When the few husbands saw Huang Xiaoyou, they immediately called him darling. They surrounded him and asked him questions. Huang Xiaoyou was at the most uncomfortable moment in his life. When he saw his wife, he immediately burst into tears and rolled on the ground, as if he had suffered some grievances. He cried and complained, causing the other husbands to tear up. Some of them couldn't help but look at Chu Yang with an unfriendly look in their eyes. In fact, some of them were gnashing their teeth. Chu Yang finally understood how this playboy came about. It seems that Huang Xiaoyou is treated like a treasure at home. Who dares to reprimand him? Huang Gong's 2 wives stood timidly at one side. They seemed to be a little embarrassed, and their faces were red. Divine Dr. Chu looked over and saw that Huang Xiaoyou's 2 wives were beautiful. Although they weren't exceedingly beautiful, they had graceful figures and were very elegant. Although they were dressed as young women, they were obviously still virgins from their figures and faces. There was a little bitterness in their eyes. When Huang Gong saw his wives, he immediately felt guilty. He didn't even cry anymore. He rubbed his hands, smiled embarrassedly, and occasionally sighed secretly. Helpless. Divine Dr. Chu suddenly had a deep realization. The biggest helplessness in life wasn't that he couldn't earn money or gather strength. It was that he couldn't do anything despite having 2 beautiful wives by his side. Chu Yang really sympathized with Huang Xiaoyou at this moment. Under such circumstances, he actually persisted for so long and didn't commit suicide. Huang Gong's endurance was also one of the best in the world. How many worries could one have in life? He was just like Huang Xiaoyou, who had beautiful wives. If Huang Gong went to the brothel, he would be even more worried. This time, Clan Master Huang even specially brought a pharmaceutical master to study Huang Xiaoyou's condition with divine Dr. Chu. The pharmaceutical master's surname was also Huang, and his name was Huang Yaoshi. Huang Yaoshi was studying the medicinal decoction made by divine Dr. Chu for a long time. Finally, he whispered to Clan Master Huang, "This medicinal decoction is the first one I've seen in my life, and it has a mysterious power. It seems that it's very beneficial to men. It seems that divine Dr. Chu is helping Huang Gong to strengthen his foundation." Clan Master Huang instantly beamed with joy and felt relieved. Clan Master Huang was thin, like a twin. When he saw Chu Yang, he sighed, cupped his hands and laughed heartily. "Divine Dr. Chu? Thank you for taking care of me. I've troubled you during this period." Chu Yang smiled and said, "Clan Master Huang is too polite." He thought, "This Clan Master Huang is much smaller than my son. My name is Huang Shang. I am the current head of the Huang family." The head of the Huang family revealed his name. Divine Dr. Chu's body shook, and he almost kowtowed. "Your Majesty?" Huang, 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 Noble Shang. Huang family head had seen this kind of expression many times. He didn't know how many people had misunderstood this name, so he didn't care at all. He said, "It's not the emperor who entered the imperial court." Huang, Huang, Clan Master, Huang's Clan Master Huang, Huang Clan. "Divine Dr. Chu, you don't have to be so polite. Besides worrying about my son, I also want to ask you a question." Huang Shang squeezed out a smile on his thin face and said in a low voice, "Divine Dr. Chu, how confident are you in curing my son's illness?" Without waiting for Chu Yang to answer, Huang Shang added, "To restore him to a normal man, that kind of cough, that kind of power?" Chu Yang pondered and said, "But how confident is the Huang clan to find those few key medicines?" Huang Shang stroked his beard and said, "I've inquired about those few medicines through the law enforcement hall and asked the 5 big clans one after another. Finally, I've got their whereabouts. Our Huang clan has the poisonous stinging iron cucumber. As for the absolute vine, we have 3 stalks in the Medicine Valley. Lifeless death water is stored in the Ling clan. And the life pangolin is in the Zhuge clan. As long as Divine Dr. Chu says that you're confident, I'll immediately send 200,000 purple crystals to the Medicine Valley, the Zhuge clan and the Ling clan. I'll buy the medicines back at all costs." Chu Yang's heart shook. He thought, "Damn it, there's no comparison between the two. I'm so worried about the 30,000 purple crystals that I don't even know how to spend them. But this clan master Huang actually offered 200,000 purple crystals. He's indeed extremely rich. But he's also extremely concerned about his son." Chu Yang smiled and said, "As long as Clan Master Huang can get these few medicines, I can guarantee that once you get the medicines today, you'll be able to return to normal tomorrow. Not only that, but your ability will even surpass Chang Jin." Good. Huang Shang clapped his hands and his face flushed red. He said, "Are you serious?" "I'm not lying." Chu Yang smiled slightly. "If I've lied to Clan Master Huang, then our Chu clan doesn't seem to be a match for the Huang clan." Chu Yang made a joke. Huang Shang laughed and said, "The Chu clan now is also gradually rising. Even I admire the Chu clan from the bottom of my heart for being so resourceful." "Clan Master Huang, you're too kind." Chu Yang smiled reservedly. Huang Shang put down one of his worries and walked out to whisper to a few of his men. Instantly, the few men's faces were full of joy. Then Huang Shang issued a series of orders. At all costs, with the fastest speed, with the shortest distance, no matter what, you must get the medicines. Immediately, a large number of attendants rushed out and rode away. After everything was arranged properly, Huang Shang came in with a face full of joy. "Divine Dr. Chu, this poison is really caused by the art of severing grandchildren, right?" Chu Yang was surprised and displeased. "Do you think that I've seen wrongly?" Huang Shang laughed and rubbed his hands. Then, he thought of something and his face turned gloomy. He said, "To be honest, Divine Dr. Chu, these few days after receiving the news, I've immediately investigated the life of the art of severing descendants, Sa Wu Fei." Chu Yang rolled his eyes and pretended that he didn't take it to heart. He said, "Oh?" In fact, he had pricked up his ears and paid full attention to it. Back then, Sa Wu Fei ran amok in Chongtian and did all kinds of evil deeds. No one knew how many descendants he had killed. Finally, he aroused public anger. 2 big clans sent their men to cooperate with the blood payers of the world to encircle and annihilate him. Huang Shang said, "Which 2 clans?" Chu Yang asked casually. "One of them is the #1 dominant clan in Chongtian, the Yi clan. At that time, Yi Di, the #1 expert of the younger generation of the Yi clan, was dispatched. He was also the ancestor of the Yi clan, a supreme martial artist. Now, no one knows if he's still in the world. When Huang Shang said the name Yi Di, his tone was full of respect. Yi Di. Chu Yang muttered to himself and remembered this name. And the other clan is the Shao clan. Shao Se, the #1 expert of the younger generation of the Shao clan, was dispatched as well. And when Shao Se became a martial saint later on, he mysteriously disappeared. That was 7,100 years ago. Huang Shang said slowly. And as far as I know, Sa Wufei was first severely injured by Yi Di and escaped with his injuries. Then he was killed by Shao Se. Huang Shang's voice was heavy. Chu Yang pondered and said, in other words, the one who killed Sa Wufei was Shao Se. And the first one to get Sa Wufei's corpse was also Shao Se. Exactly. Huang Shang nodded heavily. Chu Yang was silent. He knew that there were many things that Huang Shang needed to deduce by himself. If he said it, it would not have that effect. If that's the case, then Shao Se got Sa Wufei's art of severing descendants. Huang Shang said seriously, in these 7,000 years, the Shao clan must have had many people practicing it. Ever since the rise of our Huang clan, the Shao clan didn't pay much attention to us at first. That was until our Huang clan produced a brilliant Huang Feng. Huang Feng's ancestor was a peerless genius, and he unintentionally saved an important item of the Yi clan. They became sworn brothers and helped each other out. So, things got out of hand. The Huang clan slowly grew. From a small clan, it developed into a huge clan in 300 years. Later on, the Huang clan's descendants also lived up to expectations. Generation after generation, the clan became more and more prosperous. Until 400 years ago, the Huang clan suddenly began to decline. Once the important members of the clan left, there would be no news about them. They would disappear without a trace. Moreover, the number of younger brothers in the clan was also very small. Later on, it was found that it was a small clan that poisoned them. Since then, it was peaceful for a few years. In the recent 200 years, things got worse. Several members of the Huang clan successively contracted this unspeakable disease, resulting in no descendants. There were also some who were mysteriously killed. In my generation, it was even worse. Of my 4 sons, 3 died in accidents one after another. The last one actually also. Huang Shang sighed, his eyes filled with intense hatred. I suspected the Shao clan more than once, but I never had any evidence. Today, I finally understood. The origin of everything is in the hands of this art of severing descendants. The Shao clan schemes are truly deep and vicious. As long as the Huang clan's bloodline is cut off, the Huang clan will collapse without a fight. Moreover, such a slow decline won't attract any attention. It's more beneficial for them to gather the strength of the Huang clan after its decline. Huang Shang gritted his teeth. The Shao clan wants to cut off our Huang clan's bloodline. So, Clan Master Huang has already confirmed it, Chu Yang said lightly. Yes. Since that's the case, Clan Master Huang's visit today has brought me a lot of trouble. Chu Yang sighed. Trouble is destined, Huang Shang sighed. When Divine Dr. Chu took over Xia Lu, trouble was destined. Chu Yang let out an "oh" sound. Then he looked at him meaningfully and said, this sentence is not bad. Huang Shang's eyebrows were filled with ruthlessness. He said, since the Shao clan can lay their hands on our Huang clan without any reason, why can't our Huang clan lay our hands on them? To be continued. Chapter 834. Chu Yang laughed. Clan Master Huang, whether it's the Shao clan or you who's attacking the Shao clan, this is your Huang clan's matter. Chu Yang's laughter was a little cold. Web, yes, I've said too much. Huang Shang suddenly realized. He smiled and said, but I still have something to trouble Divine Dr. Chu. Once the battle starts, there will be casualties. By then, I'll need Divine Dr. Chu's help. Chu Yang said lightly, when I practice medicine, I only recognize purple crystals, not people. As long as your Huang clan can pay enough purple crystals, I'll be able to bring you back to life. But if you don't have purple crystals, I can't help. He rolled his eyes and said, "This is my principle. Clan Master Huang, please fulfill my request. It has nothing to do with friendship, or hatred." Just now, Chu Yang suddenly felt suffocated. The meaning of this Clan Master Huang was very obvious, and he didn't even try to hide it. "I've come here with great fanfare, and the Shao clan must know. It's impossible for you to keep a secret and get away from this matter. So, you're already in my muddy water. So, it means that you're already on my boat. So, if our Huang clan has any requests, such as treating injuries, you can't just stand by and watch. Once our Huang clan is destroyed, you won't have a good ending." That was why he said, "Trouble is destined." But it was this sentence that expressed his current thoughts. How could King of Hell Chu feel good about this? Damn it, I've always been scheming against others, but someone's scheming against me. Besides, what did he mean by, "trouble is destined"? What kind of logic is this? I've always been leisurely here to treat illnesses and earn purple crystals. Where did trouble come from? If your son didn't come, why would I have trouble? Now, not only did you send trouble to me, but you even magnified it. Not only magnified it, but you even want to make use of me? Therefore, King of Hell Chu didn't like this Huang clan's lord in his heart once he realized this. Huang Shang said a little embarrassedly, Of course. Divine Dr. Chu's loss must be compensated." He knew that his words had touched the sensitive nerves of this divine doctor. He couldn't hide his thoughts from him, so he was a little embarrassed. Marshal Yin Yang knew Chapter Chu Yang said, "Since that's the case, Clan Master Huang has taken out 200,000 purple crystals at once for your son's sake. Let's make up for the loss of my little shop first. Let's just make up for 1 month's worth. If the Huang family still hasn't sent the spiritual herbs a month later, we'll count it again." Huang Shang said straightforwardly, "Of course, but how many are there?" Chu Yang stretched out 2 fingers. 2,000 purple crystals? Although Huang Shang felt that this number was rather large, he still smiled and said, "No problem. That won't be a problem. No, it's 20,000 purple crystals." Chu Yang looked at him coldly. 20,000. The head of the Huang family shouted. "This is only a loss. You haven't said that it's the medical expenses." Chu Yang said indifferently, "I refuse to bargain. If Patriarch Huang thinks it's too expensive, you can take your son and leave. The medicine you took before is a gift from me." "You're too kind, Divine Dr. Chu." Although Huang Shang was the clan master of a big clan, he really didn't dare to be disrespectful to Chu Yang. He had just arrived here when he heard that the law enforcement master of the southeast region, Han Shaoran, had personally gone to the Chu clan to show his support. How could Huang Shang not have any scruples? Now that the Shao clan's matter was urgent, it wasn't good to complicate matters. His son and the inheritance of a big clan were still in Chu Yang's hands. He also couldn't offend Chu Yang, of course. If it weren't for the first 2 conditions, Clan Master Huang would have already brought Divine Dr. Chu back. Would Chu Yang even have the chance to bargain with him? Isn't it just 20,000 purple crystals? And it's Divine Dr. Chu's loss because of our Huang clan. It's only right that we compensate you." Huang Shang squinted his eyes and smiled. "Now that the compensation is settled, let's talk about the medical expenses." Chu Yang smiled. His smile was pure. But Huang Shang was very careful. "Divine Dr. Chu, you can say it. Until your son recovers, it'll probably cost 20,000 purple crystals." Chu Yang said generously, "The specific amount should be 23,000 purple crystals, but I don't want the 3,000 purple crystals. Since we're so familiar with each other, I'm also embarrassed to ask for more." He chuckled and said, "But I'm also embarrassed to ask for less. Patriarch Huang is willing to take out 200,000 purple crystals just for 3 stalks of poison without a frown. If I ask for less, it would be an insult to Patriarch Huang. Now that we're so familiar with each other, how can I insult you?" Divine Dr. Chu smiled kindly. "I feel that such a price is neither too much nor too little. Clan Master Huang? What's wrong?" Huang Shang lowered his head and coughed for a while. After a long time, he raised his head and said, "Cough, cough, cough. Yes, Neither too much nor too little. 20,000 purple crystals. Just right, cough, cough, ha, just right. He was extremely depressed. You might as well insult me. Please come and insult me. Well, it's great that Clan Master Huang doesn't have any objections. Chu Yang smiled. Huang Shang was depressed. Who said that I don't have any objections? I just didn't say, Chu Yang said sincerely. Clan Master Huang, although we're familiar with each other, I rely on this to make a living. It's better to make some things clear in advance, lest there's a dispute later on. If that happens, I'll be very embarrassed. Huang Shang instinctively felt that something was wrong. He stammered, "What is it?" Chu Yang smiled embarrassedly, rubbed his hands and said shyly, "It's when your son recovers completely, what price does Clan Master Huang intend to use to thank me?" Huang Shang was surprised. Even a sly old fox like Huang Shang also felt a little uncomfortable when this sentence was said so bluntly. Of course, in today's eyes, this matter is very normal. But at that time, Chu Yang still felt a little embarrassed to cover up this matter. At that time, even if you went to the brothel, you still had to listen to music first, Chu Yang said excitedly. You see, once Duke Huang's injuries are healed, the Huang clan's grandchildren will be multiplied immediately. Besides, after Duke Huang has undergone my divine treatment, his ability will definitely surpass that of ordinary people by many times. Clan Master Huang, the day when you can enjoy your grandchildren to the fullest is just around the corner. This is something that's worth looking forward to and celebrating. Then, for a great contributor like me, I think Clan Master Huang won't be stingy, right? Divine Dr. Chu asked expectantly. Huang Shang only felt a little bitter in his mouth, as if the family business that his ancestors had accumulated for generations was about to grow wings and fly away at this moment. He gritted his teeth, frowned, stamped his feet and said, "At that time, I'll add another 20,000 purple crystals for Divine Dr. Chu." 20,000? Chu Yang dragged his voice with dissatisfaction. 20,000? Ha, 25,000. Huang Shang said painfully. Clan Master Huang still doesn't pay much attention to the bloodline inheritance. Chu Yang sighed. There are 3 ways to be unfilial, and having no descendants is the worst. 30,000. Veins on Huang Shang's forehead bulged. Deal. Divine Dr. Chu snapped his fingers and smiled like a flower. Clan Master Huang, please take a seat. I'll let them serve tea. Huang Shang was like a deflated ball. He sat on the chair and wrinkled his face. This Divine Dr. Chu is a greedy ghost. He wants money as if he's peeling off someone's skin? Oh yes. Divine Dr. Chu turned back again and asked for confirmation. The 30,000 that Clan Master Huang said is purple crystals, right? Huang Shang roared angrily. Do you think I'll give you silver? That's good, that's good. Chu Yang breathed a sigh of relief. Huang Shang rolled his eyelids, exhaled and closed his eyes. He didn't even want to look at this divine doctor now. Even if you have something, you shouldn't be sick. Even if you don't have something, you shouldn't be poor. Clan Master Huang now had a deeper understanding of this sentence. If you're sick, all your family's assets will be at the disposal of the doctors. With such a black-hearted mental cultivation method, how many families' assets can't be emptied out? Huang Shang secretly made up his mind. When dealing with the Shao clan, I'll snatch as much as I can. I'll try my best to recoup my losses first, but he didn't know that the reason why he paid such a high price was because he had offended Chu Yang. He shouldn't have schemed so much against Chu Yang. What Chu Yang hated the most was being schemed against and used by others. Huang Shang had touched his reverse scale. How could he not be ruthlessly slaughtered by him with his lion's mouth wide open? Of course, if Huang Shang knew the whole story of this matter, and knew that he had taken out 70,000 purple crystals for something that could be settled with 10,000 purple crystals, he would probably have the heart to pull out his own tongue. That night, Huang Shang brought his men to stay at the inn nearby. 2 martial saints were left to protect Huang Xiaoliu. Huang Xiaoliu was tormented by Divine Dr. Chu's medicine, and he fell asleep very early. In the middle of the night, the stars were dim. In Chu Yang's room, Chu Yang was dressed in black and sat in front of the bed. He took out a grass figurine that was about the size of a human from the tribulation space and put it under the quilt. After covering the quilt, he took out a strange object with holes in it. One end was thick while the other was thin. He gently placed it under the window and held his breath. A gentle breeze blew in from the window. Chu Yang adjusted the direction of the strange object. When he showed a satisfied smile on his face, there was suddenly a light breathing sound in the room. It was like the most natural breathing sound of a person sleeping soundly. But Chu Yang had already held his breath. Where did this breathing sound come from? It turned out to be the strange object that Chu Yang placed by the window. This object was dug out from the memory of the first tribulation swordmaster, and Chu Yang made it with great care. It was an excellent item to deceive others. It was called someone in the room. This object could adjust the best effect of sleeping and breathing according to the direction of the wind, and let others know that someone was sleeping soundly in the room. It seemed inconspicuous, but in the martial world this object was very useful. The most important thing was that it didn't cost much to make this object. As long as one knew the method, one could make it with any stone. Chu Yang was especially interested in it. So, he made this object at the first moment, and it came in handy now. Everything was arranged properly. Chu Yang's divine sense sank into his consciousness space and asked, "Sword Spirit, are you ready?" 100 votes. Chapter 8:35. The Sword Spirit smiled gently, and his smile was full of killing intent. He said, "Do we really want to kill them?" Chu Yang smiled coldly. "Not only do we want to kill them, we want to kill them to our heart's content." The Sword Spirit said, "Since that's the case, then let's have a great massacre." Chu Yang chuckled. Net 7 by 24 hours of non-stop novel updates. Sword Spirit, this time, you must remember that our mission is like this, like this. The Sword Spirit nodded deeply. "Don't worry. It's absolutely foolproof." A black shadow floated out of the opened window like a black cloud. It spun with the wind and soared into the sky. It flashed in the air and disappeared without a trace. In the side room, the two martial saints of the Huang clan were meditating. One of them suddenly opened his eyes and frowned, saying, "There's movement." The next moment, the two of them had already reached the courtyard silently. With a flash of their figures, one of them had already flown up to the roof like a gust of wind. Looking into the distance, they saw that the surroundings were silent. There were only the stars and the bright moon in the sky. "There's no one," the person on the roof said softly. "Strange." The person below frowned. Then, the two of them stopped talking at the same time and listened to the movements in each room. In Chuler's room, Chuler's soft breathing could be heard. Even though this little girl was asleep, her breathing was still soft and weak. In Huang Xiaoyou's room, Huang Gongzheng was sleeping with his limbs spread out. His snoring sounds could be heard, and he would occasionally whistle and grind his teeth. In Chu Yang's room, a soft breathing sound could be heard continuously, indicating that the owner of this sound was asleep, and he was sleeping peacefully. There's really nothing unusual. The two saint-level experts looked at each other before they entered the room. After a while, the two of them flew out from two different directions at the same time. They circled around the purple crystal's Huichun Hall once before they climbed up and looked around. They still didn't see anything unusual. Net 7 by 24 hours of non-stop novel updates. Their vigilance and experience in the martial world were undoubtedly revealed in these two operations. But they still didn't discover anything. They couldn't help but be amazed. It's really strange. There's obviously that bleak and sharp aura fluctuation of the vicissitudes of life. Why is there nothing unusual? One of them frowned in bewilderment. That's true. You're not the only one who felt that aura. Even I felt it. If an expert came, then this person's cultivation is definitely above ours. It's just that invincible loneliness that disturbed us. Could it be that he's just passing by? The other person was also puzzled. That can't be. How could such an expert pass by so late at night? The saint-level expert who spoke earlier muttered in a low voice. It's really strange that I've encountered such an inexplicable thing on my first night here. That divine Dr. Chu has been staying here every day, but he's used to it. that guy. I reckon he won't wake up even if there's a thunderstorm on a sunny day. Look at how he's sleeping so soundly. I wonder what kind of good dreams he's having." The two of them shook their heads as they walked into the room. That night, the two of them were even more vigilant, not daring to close their eyes. However, he didn't find anything. What they didn't know was that the abnormal aura that had aroused their vigilance was already dozens of kilometers away. Shao family branch. Ever since Xiao Yuqing came back from the Chu clan, he looked like a toad who was about to explode from anger. His mouth and eyes were crooked. He had just taken up the position and was thinking of ways to establish his authority in the flat mountain ridge. In the end, not only did he fail to establish his authority, he was also slapped in the face. Until now, Xiao Yuqing's face was still burning from Chu Yang's abuse. He had lost all his face in front of his subordinates. However, the situation at that time was special, and he really couldn't flare up or take action. He had to suffer in silence. Xiao Yulong kicked down the doors of more than 10 houses on the way. After he came back, he drank a few cups of wine to drown his sorrows, and his chest felt even more stifled. Marshal Yin Yang at the side, the faces of the 8 emperor-level experts were all ugly. Among these 8 people, 4 were brought by Xiao Yuqing, and the other 4 were the remaining 4 people after Xiao Yulong's incident. This is intolerable. Xiao Yuqing drank another cup of wine, picked up a piece of fragrant fox's buttocks, and bit on it fiercely. Ordinary people like to eat meat from other places, but Xiao Yuqing had a weird fetish. No matter if it was pork, chicken, or mutton, he liked to eat buttocks. Fragrant fox was a delicacy, but the buttocks of fragrant fox were also more disgusting. As everyone knew, all foxes had a stink gland in their bodies. Yes, the stink gland of fragrant fox was in their buttocks. Naturally, the meat from other places was delicious, but the buttocks meat, not to mention having a strange smell, even if there wasn't, it would really make people suspicious. But Xiao Yuqing still liked to eat buttocks. And he chewed loudly. The 8 subordinates could only accompany him to eat. In fact, they just watched him eat. "You're just a kid. How dare you be so arrogant? How dare you disregard me, Xiao Yuqing?" Xiao Yuqing's face was ferocious, and he bit on the buttocks of fragrant fox with big mouthfuls. He didn't forget to scold. "I, Xiao Yuqing, will definitely take revenge for this humiliation." He ate the buttocks in big mouthfuls. This little bastard, just because he has the support of the law enforcement officers, he actually dares to be so lawless. He ate the buttocks in big mouthfuls. "I will definitely take revenge for Xiao Yulong. Xiao Yulong can't die in vain." He ate the buttocks in big mouthfuls. Little bastard. Xiao Yuqing was obviously a little crazy, and he tore the buttocks of fragrant fox crazily and chewed with big mouthfuls. His eyes were ferocious. The 8 martial emperors sat there like wooden blocks. The 8 of them had never seen Xiao Yuqing in a rage before, and they didn't expect that Xiao Yulong would vent his anger in such a way. Looking at the table full of pig buttocks, chicken buttocks, duck buttocks, sheep buttocks, cow buttocks, fragrant fox buttocks, the 8 of them felt that their throats were twitching. At the beginning, they could still scold along with Xiao Yuqing, but now, their anger had been completely dispersed by this clan leader Zhao's crazy act of eating the buttocks. Everyone's throats seemed to be swallowing something. "Don't you think this is infuriating?" Xiao Yuqing raised his head and drank a cup of wine. He threw away the fragrant fox buttocks in his hand, grabbed a big piece of duck buttocks, and bit into it. Just at this moment, a sharp scream suddenly resounded through the sky. Along with this scream, the entire Xiao clan's branch hall was in chaos. Xiao Yuqing was still in a daze, but the 8 martial experts had already rushed out of the hall. At this moment, the 8 of them even had the feeling of finally being free. Damn it, it's better to go out and fight with the enemy than to stay here and watch this guy eat buttocks crazily. I really don't understand what's so good about this buttocks. I don't know if this guy eats human buttocks or not. He's a branch of the Xiao clan, but he actually has such a weird fetish. I've heard of people who lack maternal love and like women's breasts, but I've never heard of people who lack love for buttocks since childhood. It's really disgusting. Xiao Yulong shouted and threw down the duck buttocks. He strode out of the hall and shouted, "Why are you shouting in the middle of the night?" But the next moment he shut his mouth. He saw a ghostly black shadow coming in from the direction of the gate. His movements were neither fast nor slow, as if he was taking a leisurely stroll. The sword in his hand was shining brilliantly. Even when this black-robed man saw the Shao clan's martial artists coming out with all their might, he would even wait for a while. Behind him, there were corpses lying in a mess. There were already 40 to 50 corpses. Everyone was either stabbed in the throat or the chest. Fresh blood flowed silently on the ground in the dark night and gathered into a pool of blood at the gate. This black-robed man walked slowly towards the pool of blood and corpses. Hundreds of Shao clan's martial artists rushed up like a tide and attacked ferociously, but they actually couldn't stop this man's footsteps. He actually stopped and waited for someone to come up and die. "Who are you?" Xiao Yuqing shouted hoarsely. The black-robed masked man actually raised his head calmly and looked at Xiao Yuqing, who was on the steps, with a deep look. This look seemed to have cut through time and space and connected with the ancient times. On the steps, everyone, including Xiao Yuqing, felt a bleak, cold and lonely aura, which seemed to have hit their hearts hard. Everyone felt a sense of loneliness that made them want to cry at the same time. At this moment, this peculiar mental stirring made him forget his fear and rage. They were actually stunned for a while, and their spirits seemed to have stopped at this moment, but also seemed to have entered a wonderful state. Then, they heard a series of screams again. Everyone was shocked at the same time. What kind of magical skill is this? What kind of cultivation is this? It was a mess. The black-robed man laughed loudly and said lightly, "It's time to have a good talk with you." Suddenly, his black robe rose gradually, and a dense sword light spread out like the halo of the bright moon in the sky. Slowly, it drew out a big circle with a radius of 500 feet. The Shao clan's martial artists who were attacking from all directions froze at the same time. They didn't move at all. The black-robed man smiled and walked towards the steps with ease. After he took 10 steps, there was a bang behind him, and the remaining 100 martial artists fell to the ground at the same time. The power of his sword actually killed more than 100 martial artists at the same time. Everyone was in the same position. Everyone's lower body was still upright, but their upper body flew out and fell neatly in front of their own feet. Even the direction in which the blood was splattered was actually the same. Even if they had rehearsed it thousands of times, they would definitely not be able to do it so neatly. The black-robed man walked for another 10 steps, and suddenly sighed, "Why are you still standing when you're all dead?" As his voice sounded, there was a bang behind him, and the lower bodies of the 100 martial artists fell down at the same time, in a pool of blood. The black-robed man raised his head and looked at the person on the steps. He smiled lightly and said, "Don't go, don't be anxious, I'll be there soon." 200 votes and more. Chapter 8:36. Who exactly are you? What deep hatred does our Shao clan have with you? How dare you be so vicious? Xiao Yuqing's teeth chattered as he spoke. Being in the pugilistic world, everyone had seen a lot of battles and killings. Killing people while gnashing their teeth wasn't scary at all. But it was rare to see someone like this man in black, whose eyes were calm from beginning to end and whose voice was as gentle as usual, as if he was attending a banquet instead of a massacre. Not only Xiao Yuqing was scared, everyone was scared. This man's cold-bloodedness wasn't cruelty. Instead, it had a kind of strange freedom, as if he had seen through life and seen through the essence of life. So vicious. This man in black seemed to smile. Strangely, he was wearing a mask, but everyone clearly felt that he was smiling at this moment. "Is it vicious?" The man in black asked softly. As he spoke, he moved forward. His sleeves fluttered and he said, "Compared to your Shao clan's way of making people die without descendants, my method is really too gentle." As he spoke, he had already walked to within 100 feet. Suddenly, he frowned and said softly, "You're standing too high. I'm not used to looking up and talking like this." Then, he stretched out his right hand and pressed down gently. He glanced outwards. With a boom, Xiao Yuqing and the others suddenly realized that they were already standing on flat ground. The 18 high steps actually disappeared into thin air. On one side, at a distance of 200 feet, there were 18 steps standing alone. There wasn't any hall or house behind the steps. This man in black actually moved all the steps away with one palm, from the feet of the people who were standing on the steps. And these people were all emperor-level experts, but they actually felt like they were in a dream. This kind of skill was extremely close to a legend. It's much more comfortable to talk now. At least, I don't have to look up. That's too tiring. The black-masked man said faintly, "What do you think?" Xiao Yuqing's breathing became hurried. "Senior, there must be some misunderstanding." "Yes, there's definitely no misunderstanding." The masked man in black was none other than the sword spirit. He chuckled and said, "How could there be a misunderstanding about the matter of not having any descendants?" Xiao Yuqing said anxiously, "Senior, you keep talking about the matter of not having any descendants, but I've never heard of it. Our Xiao clan, as one of the ruling aristocratic families in the heavens, would definitely not do such a cruel thing." The sword spirit laughed strangely, "You are not qualified to know." He paused for a moment and said bleakly, "You only need to know that this old man has killed people today with great satisfaction. Killing to the satisfaction of everyone. Kill to take revenge. That's enough." A faint murderous look appeared in his eyes as he said, "Xiao clan, when you reach the netherworld, help me pass a message to Xiao Sei. Tell him that what he did to others in the past, what his grandson did to others, today, I will do to his Xiao clan." Xiao Yuqing was shocked and said, "Senior." "Seniority?" The sword spirit's body floated up, and he stretched out his palm. With a clang, a long sword appeared in his hand out of thin air. It was as if the long sword was hidden in his body, and with a thought, the long sword would come out from his palm. Then he took a stride and slid out a distance of 100 feet in the air. He said lightly, "This is the first hall of the Xiao clan that will be buried. There will be a second one, a third one." The long sword suddenly turned into a scorching sun in the air. It fell down with a loud bang. But this unparalleled momentum had already taken away the minds of the few people, and their souls were scattered. They were scared out of their wits. They shouted at the same time and attacked. But Xiao Yuqing threw out his long sword at the moment when the 8 martial emperors attacked at the same time. His body swayed and he flew backwards. The sword spirit snorted coldly, "Although I want you to stay alive to report the news, you shouldn't be so impatient." He turned his left palm and his palm spat out. At the same time, the long sword in his hand came into contact with the weapons of the 8 martial emperors. With a soft clang, a sword broke. The sword spirit's long sword continued to cut into the neck of the martial emperor without any pause. With a puff, a head flew up. The sword spirit's long sword had already broken the second person's saber and cut into the second person's neck. Then came the third sword, the third person, the fifth person. A simple wave of the sword was enough to destroy everything in its path. Any ingenious moves were like snowflakes under the scorching sun, melting without a trace in front of this sword. The 8th person's sword was broken into 2 pieces, and his body was broken in half. At the same time, Xiao Yuqing, who had already run for more than 300 feet, felt as if he was suddenly hit by a huge hammer. His body, which was running at high speed, suddenly became sluggish. He fell to the ground without a sound. The sword spirit floated up and landed beside him. All the bones in Xiao Yuqing's body had been shattered by his palm. For the rest of his life, he would never be able to use his own power to do anything. Including eating, drinking, and defecating, there was only one purpose left for him, to say a few words. Don't forget to tell your Xiao clan that you will suffer retribution for not having any descendants. The sword spirit said lightly. Then, the black-robed figure floated up and flashed on the roof. With a shake of his hands, a few sparks flew out. The entire Xiao clan branch was set ablaze. In the fire, the black-robed figure flashed and disappeared without a trace, leaving behind a corpse, a pool of blood, and a half-dead Xiao Yuqing. It seemed that the sword spirit had forgotten that Xiao Yuqing couldn't move at all. This fire would roast Xiao Yuqing alive. Then he would lose the purpose of his message. Soon after the sword spirit's black-robed silhouette disappeared, a few more silhouettes rushed over as if they were flying. These people's movements were extremely fast this time. Their cultivations were much higher. Who did such a vicious thing? The first person had thin eyes, a pair of eyebrows that were like short swords, and a tall figure. His whole person was like a sharp sword hidden in its sheath. Although he didn't show his ability, he was extremely dangerous. Even with a sweep of his eyes, there seemed to be sword light shooting out. This was the second stage of a sword cultivator's cultivation after reaching the level of a sword emperor. The first stage of a sword cultivator was commonly known as the martial emperor sword emperor. At this time, his whole body was like a sword, and he couldn't hide his ability at all. Just like a treasure sword that had just come out of the furnace, he couldn't wait to show his peerlessness to the whole world. Domineering and sharp, he would kill anyone who blocked him. He would respect himself as a king. But at the second stage, his ability would be restrained. Although he would still be aggressive, he would be able to hide his aura. This was the sword monarch, commonly known as the sword monarch. When an emperor had the aura of a monarch, he would be a monarch that was taking shape. At this moment, he would no longer act arbitrarily. Instead, he would have concerns and thoughts. In other words, he had matured a little. The third stage was the sword monarch. At that time, he would be a real monarch, majestic and lofty. At the fourth stage, his ability would be restrained again. He would cultivate step by step until he was no different from an ordinary person. That was the highest realm of swordsmanship, returning to one's natural state. At that time, even heaven and earth would be a sharp sword. And this black-clothed man who had rushed over was a 100% sword emperor. There's no one alive. The two men he brought along quickly circled around the corpses and came to this conclusion. This person raised his sword-like eyebrows and shot out like a sword. He quickly turned around and his eyes flashed with sword light. What a powerful sword! The other two men asked, "Seventh Master, this man cultivates swordsmanship?" That's right. Cultivates swordsmanship. And although his cultivation isn't as pure as mine, his power is far above mine. This man was the sword genius of the Shao clan, 7th Master Shao. There was a huge change in the flat mountain ridge. Even Shao Yulong was killed. How could the Shao clan not send people over? With the Shao clan's cautiousness, how could they let Shao Yuqing take charge of the overall situation? He was just a puppet on the surface. But 7th Master Shao was one step too late. The 17 people at the door were killed by one sword. 7th Master Shao looked at these corpses and paid attention to the direction where the corpses fell, the distance and direction where the blood splattered, and the density of the blood closest to the corpses. He didn't miss a single drop and said, "This man's sword moves as he pleases." After entering the door, more than 10 people died here. Obviously, that man stayed here for a while and was besieged. He shouldn't have stayed here. With his swordsmanship, these people couldn't stop him at all. Why did he stay here? 7th Master Shao looked at the clean wounds on the corpses and frowned as he pondered, unless he deliberately waited here to be besieged and then killed all of them. When he came here, he obviously found his target. So, the 113 people here were cut in half by his sword at the waist at the same time. One sword? He killed 113 people at the same time? The other two men raised their heads in shock. That's right. 7th Master Shao stood at the place where the sword spirit swung his sword at that time. Looking at the corpses around him, 7th Master Zhao's face turned solemn. He pulled out his long sword and made a slash. He closed his eyes, as if he was experiencing and imitating this person's action at that time. After a long time, he shook his head disappointedly. "I can't do it." He sighed. This person's swordsmanship is really unpredictable. He kills people like grass. His viciousness is also rarely seen in the world. Then he saw the lonely 18 steps, the 8 corpses and the broken weapons on the ground. His eyes revealed a strong desire to fight, and he muttered, "What an overbearing martial art! What an overbearing sword! If I can fight with this person..." 7th Master Shao raised his head and frowned. His eyes were deep. A low groan of pain came from not far away. There's still a survivor here. It's Xiao Yuqing. One of them hurriedly jumped over. He looked down and exclaimed, all the bones in his body have been turned into powder. He can't move at all. Seventh Master, if you want to ask him something, you can only ask him like this. If he moves, he'll die immediately. Seventh Master Xiao strode over and looked down at Xiao Yuqing. Xiao Yuqing? Seventh Master. Xiao Yuqing groaned weakly. What's the matter? Seventh Master Xiao asked. 300 votes. Chapter 837. Part 7 Part 113. Threading the Needle Update. It's a masked man in black. Xiao Yuqing's memory was even a little blurred. Net Seventh Master Xiao pointed his finger at Xiao Yuqing's forehead like a sword, and a pure sword essence penetrated into his forehead. It was like a complete coolness that watered Xiao Yuqing's mind. Sword Heart Autumn Water. This wasn't a finger, but a sword. This sword was filled with a chilling and sobering power. Although the person's head would be smashed into pieces after the sword, and there was absolutely no hope of survival, it could support a dying person to finish what he wanted to say. This was the means of the Sword Emperor. Speak. Seventh Master Xiao said in a low voice. The masked man in black had a bleak and vicissitude aura. He killed as soon as he came. He killed his way in from the gate. Xiao Yuqing was shocked and recalled carefully. I asked him what hatred he had. He said, the hatred of severing his descendants. Xiao Yuqing said intermittently. Seventh Master Zhao's face became more and more serious, and a chill condensed into frost on his face. I don't know anything. Xiao Yuqing finally finished speaking, and the power of the Sword Heart Autumn Water was about to explode. Suddenly, he felt an overwhelming pain and he screamed, Seventh Master, give me a quick death. Obviously, he had found out about his miserable state. Severing my descendants, for severing my descendants, revenge. Seventh Master Xiao muttered to himself. Without looking at the sword in his hand, he stabbed it into Xiao Yuqing's throat. Send a message to Xiao Sei. Xiao Sei. His well-defined face was full of contemplation. Suddenly, he snorted and said, Could it be the Huang clan? At this moment, the power of the Sword Heart Autumn Water exploded in Xiao Yuqing's head. With a bang, Xiao Yuqing's head exploded like a watermelon. Seventh Master Zhao's robe fluttered, blocking the flesh and blood outside. He was still in contemplation. Author's note, Pure TXT novels are updated 24/7 nonstop. The people of the Huang clan came to the flat mountain ridge this afternoon, an expert beside him said thoughtfully, and his eyes flashed fiercely. Does the Huang family have the guts to attack us here? Seventh Master Xiao raised his sword-like eyebrows. His gaze was cold. Isn't it too brazen? Another person next to him quietly said, When people reach a dead end, they will have no descendants. Now that they have found the culprit, I'm afraid no one would be able to remain calm. If it's the Huang clan, then who is it? Seventh Master Xiao pondered and said, I still think it's impossible. Although the Huang clan feels wronged and indignant, it's not very rational to take action at this time. Even though he was a sword maniac, how could his intelligence be doubted since he was able to cultivate to the Sword Emperor realm? He was definitely a genius among geniuses. After thinking about it, he found a loophole. Besides, who in the Huang clan could emit such a desolate aura? Seventh Master Xiao frowned. That person is at least 1,000 years old. After a long period of loneliness, he could emit such an aura. And he's using a sword. Although he isn't a sword emperor, his standard is able to surpass me, a sword emperor. Who is it? Seventh Master Xiao couldn't figure it out. He waved his hand and said, Send a message to the clan. Check all the famous seniors of the Huang clan in the past 2,000 years, yes. Clean up this place and throw all the corpses into the fire. Yes. Collect all the wealth inside. We're going to set off. Yes. Seventh Master Zhao's eyes were deep. Looking at the fire in the sky, he muttered to himself, Why do I feel that there's a big net falling from the sky? Is there going to be a big crisis? Just when 7th Master Shao arrived at the fire, Chu Yang, who was possessed by the sword spirit, entered a dense forest at lightning speed. His black robe was fluttering in the wind. In the blink of an eye, he had arrived at the top of the tallest tree. Standing on the tree, he moved up and down with the wind. At this moment, Chu Yang's huge spiritual power was completely combined with the sword spirit's spiritual power. His spiritual power spread out in all directions. Author's note: pure TXT novels are updated 24/7 nonstop. There's obviously a sword intent coming from the sky towards the fire. It must be the main mission of the Shao clan. Why don't you let me kill him? The sword spirit asked discontentedly. Do you still want to keep him alive? If you kill him, who's going to pass the message back? Chu Yang rolled his eyes. Besides, killing him is only secondary. Keeping this person alive is far more useful than killing him for a moment. The sword spirit was silent for a while and said, "You're thinking too fast. Do you think that we can really shift the blame to the Huang clan by doing this? Let the Shao clan believe it? You should know that this method is considered inferior. The Shao clan won't be fooled." Chu Yang laughed. We didn't let them be fooled directly. As long as they have some doubts in their hearts, it'll be fine. Now, the Huang clan has an excuse to take action, but the Shao clan still lacks an excuse. And our killing this time is purely to give the Shao clan an excuse to take action. That's all. If they decide to take action, no matter whether this matter is true or not, it'll be a reason. Then, why do you still want to include Yi Wubua? The sword spirit was a little puzzled about this. Since you've already shifted the blame to the Huang clan, why do you still want to involve the Yi clan at this moment? Won't this make things even more complicated and confusing? I naturally have my reasons for involving Yi Wubua. Only by making this matter even more mysterious and unpredictable. Then it'll be more interesting. By the way, have you found Yi Wubua? Chu Yang asked. Don't worry. The sword spirit closed his eyes and carefully sensed the aura within the search area. Yi Wubua has suffered such a big loss here. He'll definitely not be willing to retreat like this, Chu Yang said affirmatively. So, as long as we're determined to find him, we'll definitely be able to find him. There's no doubt about this. Yi Wubua's character is obstinate and self-opinionated. How can he be willing to be played by others? The sword spirit nodded and agreed with Chu Yang. He'll definitely wait to fight with 7th Master Shao to vent his anger. And 7th Master Shao from the Shao clan is the highest person in charge of the Shao clan this time. Chu Yang nodded. This news comes from the law enforcement master of the southeast region. It's definitely Han Xiaoran's news. The sword spirit agreed. If the news that Han Xiaoran got from the southeast region was still wrong, then the Shao clan would really become a big joke. This was the reason why Chu Yang mentioned the words 7th Master to Yi Wubua that day after he talked with Han Xiaoran. When Han Xiaoran said that, he didn't mean it intentionally, but Chu Yang listened attentively. He would store all the information that was beneficial to himself in his mind. Once it was useful, he would be able to pull it out immediately. Chu Yang wouldn't be able to shift the blame to someone who didn't have any basis or couldn't be triggered immediately. If he wanted to do something, he would do something big. 7th Master wasn't something he said casually. How many 7th Masters were there in the world? Or in big clans, there were many 7th Masters, but how many 7th Masters could have the cultivation of a sword emperor? In the entire heavens, only 7th Master Shao from the Shao clan could have such a cultivation. Since Han Xiaoran knows that 7th Master Shao is coming, with the ability of the Yi clan's intelligence network, it's impossible for Yi Wubua to not know. Chu Yang said heavily. So Yi Wubua is definitely looking for 7th Master Shao. The sword spirit concluded. And with such a big thing happening in the Shao clan's branch, it's impossible for 7th Master Shao to not be there. That sharp sword intent is very likely to be him, Chu Yang said. So you're thinking, as long as you find Yi Wubua and lure him a little, you can make him go to the fire to look for 7th Master Shao. Then you can make this matter more complicated. So you don't just want to cause a war between the Huang clan and the Shao clan, but also want to drag the Yi clan into a war between the three clans? The sword spirit smiled. Of course. Although the Huang clan is powerful enough, it's still too weak compared to the Shao clan. If they really shed all pretenses and fight to the death, the Huang clan is definitely not the Shao clan's opponent. Chu Yang said lightly, "Of course I have to find an ally for the Huang clan. Now that Yi Wubwa has come to the southeast region, if I don't find him, who else can I find?" Insidious. The sword spirit laughed. "You're wrong." Chu Yang smiled. Yi Wubwa is now racking his brains to find 7th Master Shao. Now that I've sent 7th Master Shao to him, Yi Wubwa should be grateful to me. After we're done with this, we can watch the show, Chu Yang said. Find Yi Wubwa as soon as possible. The sword spirit laughed. Your way of thinking is indeed different from the others. Well, let me accompany you to complete the embryonic stage of this war between the 3 clans. Immediately, a trace of complacency appeared in the sword spirit's smiling eyes. I've found Yi Wubwa. The fluctuation of the Yi clan's unique martial arts is extremely obvious. Where is he? Chu Yang asked excitedly. 3,000 feet away. The sword spirit smiled gently. The next moment, the black figure shot out like a bolt of lightning. It flew out like a wisp of flowing smoke. The black figure swept across the ground silently. Behind him, the patch of green trees that had once borne the weight of a person swayed gently in the breeze. It seemed that it didn't realize that a person weighing more than 50 kilograms was standing on it just now. Yi Wubwa's face was gloomy. He was sitting quietly in the room. Ever since he returned to this temporary residence, Yi Wubwa had been meditating here. Although he was a little obstinate and self-opinionated, he wasn't a fool. Chu Feilong's matter was dealt with cleanly and neatly in a fit of rage. Now that such a long time had passed, his mind had gradually calmed down, and he had discovered a lot of suspicious points. Chu Feilong shouldn't have exposed himself in front of him after setting up a trap. He shouldn't have brought his 2 sons along. Chu Yang was only a doctor without any cultivation. Why did Chu Feilong think that he could withstand his interrogation? Since he couldn't withstand it, then Chu Feilong's actions couldn't be explained at all. But what he used was the triple-stage soul seizure, the top-secret martial arts of the Yi clan that was only passed down to females. Would there be any loopholes? Yi Wubwa reprimanded the old man's guess, but he himself started to be suspicious. After he came back last night, he immediately used a secret technique to send out his doubts. Has the triple-stage soul seizure ever failed? 400 votes. Thank you to the 2 Alliance Masters for your tips. Thank you to all my brothers and sisters for your tips. There are too many people, so I can't list them one by one. I can only say one sentence: heartfelt thanks. Chapter 838. Yi Wubwa waited until this afternoon before he received a reply from the headquarters of the Yi clan. It was a stiff reply. No. Can't you fucking say it in detail? These 2 dry words made Yi Wubwa scold. Will writing a few more words kill you bastards? But since the headquarters had sent the word no, the people at the headquarters must be inexplicably annoyed by Yi Wubwa's question. As the younger brother of the Yi clan, do you have so little confidence in your clan's martial arts? If it had failed before, wouldn't your clan have reminded you time and again to pay attention to it? To think that you would ask such a stupid and retarded question. But this made Yi Wubwa even more puzzled. If it had never failed before, it meant that it was absolutely feasible. But, is Chu Feilong really a fool? Crazy? Such a seemingly simple but actually complicated question made Yi Wubwa entangled in it for a long time. Marshal Yin Yang, clap clap. Yi Wubwa clapped his hands and said gloomily, all of you, come here. In a split second, 4 expert guards quietly walked in. Yi Wubwa's eyes flashed with a ghastly light, and he suppressed his doubts about Chu Feilong. He decided not to think about this anymore. Chu Feilong was already dead, and he was the one who gave the order to kill him. Even if he killed the wrong person, then so be it. But it's just Chu Feilong. At most, the deployment in the southeast region would be a little weak, and it would be a little embarrassing if they couldn't achieve the expected goal. But by then, as long as they pushed the responsibility to Han Xiaoran, who would blame them? With the law enforcement master of the southeast region, Han Xiaoran, obstructing them, who would be able to carry out this plan smoothly? That would be a joke. Looking at the four people's puzzled faces, Yi Wubo said gloomily, "What do you think about 7th Master Xiao?" 7th Master Xiao? The elder with a goatee frowned. He looked at Yi Wubo hesitantly and retracted his head. "Webb, if you have something to say, say it." The ghastly light in Yi Wubo's eyes shone brightly, and he shouted angrily. "I think that 7th Master Xiao's matter, whether it's true or not, still needs to be verified." The elder with a goatee was a little depressed. "The last time I said it, I was almost choked to death by your big hot fart. You still need me to say it this time? But there are indeed many suspicious points in this matter." Goatee was conflicted, so he chose his words carefully. "Still need to be verified?" Yi Wubo snorted coldly. "How? Go find 7th Master Xiao and ask him, did you kill 3rd Ma? Is this how you verify it?" The horse-faced old man lowered his head and stopped talking. "The southeast is the Xiao clan's territory." Yi Wubo said solemnly, "According to the news that we've received, ever since Xiao Yulong, the head of the Xiao clan's local branch, suffered a setback in the Purple Crystal's Huichun Hall, not only did he lose his life, but he also lost his purple crystals. Afterwards, the Xiao clan sent a guy called Xiao Yuqing to take charge. However, the Dark Ones sent someone else to observe in secret. And this person has the right to kill everyone in the flat mountain ridge." Yi Wubo said gloomily, "Do you know who this person is?" The old man with the goatee was sweating. "According to the family's information, this is 7th Master Xiao." Yi Wubo looked at him coldly. "Does this mean that 7th Master Xiao is already here? Then, who in the whole southeast can kill 3rd Ma easily with the cultivation of a sword emperor?" Yi Wubo's eyes flashed with ghostly fire. He was obviously impatient with this old man with the goatee. "Only 7th Master Xiao." The old man with the goatee was sweating even more. "If it's not 7th Master Xiao, did you kill him?" Yi Wubo said angrily, "You have a goatee, but don't tell me you also have a goat's head." The old man with the goatee was sweating profusely. 13th Master, please calm down. Order the local Yi clan spies to search for 7th Master Xiao. Once they find him, report back to me immediately." Yi Wubo stood up, and his eyes flashed with coldness. "Since 7th Master Xiao killed 3rd Ma, he must know my plan very well. For so many years. 7th Master Xiao, how can I let you off?" Yi Wubo's face was distorted. Marshal Yin Yang, the other three people agreed at the same time. Everyone was ashamed and angry. Right at this moment, the sword spirit's ghostly figure flew over from 1,000 feet away. He smiled coldly, "Yi Wubo." In the room, Yi Wubo immediately became alert and shouted, "Who are you? Tell me your name." With a boom, the 5 of them broke through the roof at the same time and came to the sky. But they saw a dazzling sword light flying towards them. At this moment, it was as if countless stars in the sky had fallen at the same time. The stars filled the entire horizon. Even if the sun suddenly appeared in the dark night, it would definitely not be as dazzling as the sword light at this moment. Although this sword light was a sneak attack, it was majestic, as if a monarch was looking down on the world. It was filled with the domineering spirit of, "I have the power to decide the fate of the world." When the sword light flashed, Yi Wubo and the other 4 swordsmen heard a clear sound from their scabbards at the same time, as if their long swords were bowing and submitting to the Sword Emperor. "Sword Emperor!" Yi Wubo was furious and roared, "7th Master Xiao, don't hide your head and show your tail. How dare you use such a childish method in front of me? Don't you think it's ridiculous?" The 5 of them drew out their swords at the same time and pounced on Yi Wubo crazily. The sword light filled the air, and a gloomy voice, which seemed to have changed his own voice, said hoarsely, "Who's 7th Master Xiao?" "Yi Wubo, are you crazy?" Yi Wubo was so angry that his nose became crooked. "You're standing right in front of me. Do you think that you can hide from me by changing your voice? Do you think that I, Yi Wubo, am so gullible? You've lied to me for 18 years. Do you really think that I'm retarded?" With a bang, the five of them collided with each other fiercely. That majestic sword aura let out a sharp whistle, and instantly, countless sword aura burst out. Yi Wubwa and the other four people were caught off guard. Their clothes were torn apart by the sword aura. Two of them even had their shoulders and waists slashed by the sword aura. Fortunately, they dodged quickly and didn't suffer the disaster of being cut open. But the black figure opposite them didn't have it easy either. With a cough, he somersaulted 100 feet away and said hoarsely, "Yi Wubwa, you're really scheming. You actually brought so many people to ambush me in the middle of the night." Yi Wubwa was furious. "You despicable, shameless and obscene seventh master Shao. You came to ambush me in the middle of the night, and you still have the face to say that I'm here to ambush you. Do you dare to ambush me in the Yi clan?" The black figure sneered, "Yi Wubwa, have you eaten too much sulfur rice? Why are you spouting such nonsense? Who told you that I'm seventh master Shao? You're still denying it." Yi Wubwa was so angry that he flew over like a bolt of lightning. The four people beside him roared at the same time and followed him. This time, the momentum was much greater than just now. After all, the other party had been accumulating power for a long time, and they responded hastily. But this time, they took the initiative to attack. Sword light and sword shadows instantly filled a radius of 400 feet. The masked man in black sneered, "Look, this is the prestige of the #1 clan in the heavens. Your Yi clan only has this little ability. Other than winning by numbers, what other heroic means does your Yi clan have?" Yi Wubwa scolded angrily, "Seventh Master Shao, bullshit. You're not fit to be beaten up. Your Shao clan isn't noble either. You're all shameless people who dare to do things but don't dare to admit to it." The masked man in black was so furious that his voice changed a little. "Yi Wubwa, Jianghu doesn't speak ill of you, but you're so presumptuous. How dare you insult your elders? Is this the upbringing of your Yi clan?" This roar seemed to have exposed his real voice under his fury. Especially the words Yi Wubwa. At the beginning, it was even more ghastly and sharp. Although his voice changed into a hoarse and unpleasant accent, Yi Wubwa was a very clever person. He couldn't restrain his anger. "You're still pretending." The two of them fought crazily. The clanging sounds of swords colliding sounded as if tens of thousands of people were forging iron together. They were all in high spirits and attacked crazily. Wonderful unique skills emerged one after another. The whole radius of 1,000 feet was filled with sword aura. Rumbling sounds continued to be heard. All the trees in the vicinity were cut in half by the saber light and sword chi. One by one, they fell down. Dust and sand flew everywhere, covering the sky. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. After all, the masked man in black was only one person. Even though he had the cultivation of a sword emperor, how could he resist the attacks of the five of them alone? Although he tried his best to hold on, he gradually fell into a disadvantageous position. Being surrounded by the five of them, he was in a precarious situation. Yi Wubwa's sword flashed, and layers of sword light flashed out. He laughed sarcastically. "Seventh Master Shao, aren't you a sword emperor? Show me what you're capable of. Why do you have to be so secretive? Won't you be wronged if you lose your life in vain? Yi Wubwa, you should really get rid of your tricks. You don't even know who you've offended. How dare you say that I'm seventh Master Shao? My name is Ling Hans Han of the Ling family, and I have never changed my name." The masked man in black said hoarsely. ***, you're still Ling Hans Han at this moment? Yi Wubwa laughed and ridiculed. "Why don't you say that you're the Dharma Supreme?" The masked man in black lowered his head and didn't say a word. Because his situation was even worse. His black clothes were already full of holes. Blood was gradually flowing out from his wounds. Suddenly he roared, "Yi Wubwa, you forced me to do this." As the sword light flashed, an awe-inspiring sword intent suddenly appeared, as if it was pressing down from the sky. Then, the sword wind emitted a whooshing sound, and a sense of desolation arose spontaneously. It was as if the whole world had suddenly changed from early autumn to late autumn at this moment. The sword light turned into fine raindrops and spread out in all directions. The coldness of autumn fills the world, and the autumn wind and rain kills. Yi Wubwa shouted angrily, "Seventh Master Shao, you finally used your Shao clan's autumn wind and rain sword. I've been waiting for this moment." 500 votes. Chapter 839. The masked man in black didn't say a word, but only sneered. Brandishing the sword. Sword aura soared to the sky. This was the unique sword technique of the Shao clan. Once the Sword Emperor was used, the situation changed instantly. The sword spirit had followed the previous master of the Calamity Sword, and the Shao clan was one of the calamities of the previous master. How could the sword spirit not know the sword technique of the Shao clan? But this usage of the sword technique had confirmed his name as 7th Master Shao of the Shao clan. Yi Wubwa let out a long roar. The 5 of them retreated in 5 different directions at the same time, and then jumped up at the same time. After a series of shuttles in the air, the 5 figures transformed into a light net, and rushed down madly without any blind spots. The masked man in black yelled, revealing his extreme exasperation, "Yi Wubwa! Your Yi clan indeed harbors evil intentions. You've already researched the formation to deal with the autumn wind and autumn rain sword." Yi Wubwa laughed complacently, "It's too late for you to know now. 7th Master Shao, it's your fortune to die here and in my hands. 18 years of humiliation, you must be fucking satisfied, right?" Sword lights and sword shadows fell madly. The black-clothed masked man yelled, and the sword chi filled up again. Suddenly, he bent his body, and the black-clothed man disappeared mysteriously. A stream of light, like a rolling cylinder, suddenly appeared between heaven and earth. Its whole body was brightly colored, sparkling and translucent, like a silver dragon, crazily appearing. Shooting. Man and sword as one. Yi Wubwa gritted his teeth. "Don't retreat. Kill him. If you kill 7th Master Shao today, it'll be a great achievement." The 5 weapons carried a desperate stance, and mixed with the power of the 5 people, fiercely chopped down on the rolling sword light. It was like a bomb suddenly exploding. Light splashed everywhere. All of them groaned at the same time. The rolling ray of sword light was like a snake that was suddenly hit at its weak point when it was about to attack. After a series of distortions, the sword light dispersed, and a figure in black with disheveled hair fell to the ground. He staggered a few steps back and roared, "Yi Wubwa! I'll remember you." Before he finished his words, he spat out a mouthful of blood from behind the cloth covering his face. He staggered for a moment, then suddenly jumped up. "Stop him! Don't let him escape." The injuries of Yi Wubwa and the others were much lighter than that of the masked man in black. With the joy of victory, the 5 of them rushed up crazily, ignoring the pain on their bodies. The black-clothed man dashed left and right, but he couldn't rush out. Seeing that he was about to be cut into pieces by the sword, he suddenly let out a long howl. He bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood. His long sword flashed with brilliance and once again turned into a rolling silver dragon sword light, fiercely rushing in the direction of Goatee. Novel network slash with a bang, Goatee's body was sent flying like an embroidered ball. He flew high into the air and then unconsciously fell to the ground. The sword light suddenly rushed out like a long dragon. 7th Master Shao actually used the secret technique of burning his life to escape. Although this method was fast for the time being, it definitely wouldn't last long. He was seriously injured and definitely couldn't walk far. As long as I catch up with him, it'll be his death. Yi Wubwa's expression was mournful and crazy. With a leap, he chased after Yi Wubwa crazily. Another person behind him leaped up and caught Goatee in his arms. Then, he continued to chase after Yi Wubwa's figure in front of him. 4 figures swept past like a gust of wind. In front of them, the silver dragon-like shadow seemed to have taken an aphrodisiac. It got further and faster, and finally disappeared in the night. But Yi Wubwa and the others were already in a killing frenzy. How could they stop here? Besides, 7th Master Shao had already used the secret technique of burning his life potential. As long as they could catch up with him, This number one sword genius of the Shao clan in 100 years would die in their hands. This was tantamount to eliminating a future sword supremacy. That was an absolute threat to anyone. They absolutely couldn't let go of such a heaven-sent opportunity. Yi Wuba, together with his 3 subordinates, carried Goti on his back and chased after 7th Master Shao in the direction where the sword light disappeared. In the fire, 7th Master Shao was standing with his hands clasped behind his back, waiting for his 2 subordinates to pack up their belongings. Under the blazing fire, 7th Master Shao kept urging, "Hurry up! Hurry up!" 7th Master Shao felt a little uneasy. This kind of feeling made him wary and fearful. Where did this feeling of panic and uneasiness come from? Is there a danger in this southeast region that's enough to kill me? This feeling hadn't appeared for a long time. But 7th Master Shao believed in his own feelings and intuition. So he was more or less impatient. His heart also seemed to have grown grass, and he actually felt a little uneasy. He frowned and thought about what had happened and what had happened. Then he paced back and forth unconsciously. The 2 subordinates finally rushed out from the blazing fire. Each of them was carrying a box in their hands. They were the treasures, crystals, and some rare medicines of the local branch. "How is it?" 7th Master Shao asked anxiously. "There's no loss at all. But there's 2 little purple crystals. There's only less than 3,000 pieces. The black crystals are also in this box. There's a total of 5,000 pieces. It's a little heavy." One of his subordinates carried a box that was almost twice as big as his body. He smiled and said, "I didn't pack up the rest of the white crystals, gold and silver. I just threw them here. There's not a lot of medicines. There are 30 to 40 stalks that are still useful. I've taken them all. But there's only this." The other person carried a small box and said, "Big brother, I'm going to find something else. Give me some of the things. That way we can walk faster." 7th Master Zhao's face was heavy. He said, "Hurry up." That person responded. Then, he went to some of the rooms that weren't on fire to search for the medicines. 7th Master Shao became more and more upset. He said, "There's something wrong with this? Why do I have such a feeling?" The person next to him put the big box on the ground and sat on it. He said, "7th Master, what's wrong? I can't tell the reason. I just feel confused." 7th Master Shao frowned tightly. "This is an ominous sign." The guard laughed and said, "7th Master, you're thinking too much. In the whole southeast region, who dares to provoke our Shao clan? Even the Huang clan, who almost had no descendants because of those people from the Severing Hall, only dared to vent their anger on our branch. Moreover, they're hiding their heads and tails. They're not magnanimous at all." 7th Master Shao said, "This matter won't be so simple. I feel that there's a lot of danger. We must be careful." He frowned seriously and said, "Only by being careful can the ship sail for 10,000 years. "Yes." The guard didn't think much of it, but he still responded respectfully. "Tell your brother to hurry up," 7th Master Shao said. The 2 of them were blood brothers. Furthermore, they were twins. Their joint attack techniques were unparalleled among those of the same generation in the Shao clan. One was called Yun Shan, and the other was called Yun Hai. The 2 brothers had equal strength. They both advanced to the 8th stage of monarch level at the same time. They were 7th Master Zhao's right-hand men. When the 3 of them were together, it was unknown how many storms and waves they had weathered. Before he finished his words, Yun Hai had already rolled out a few sheets from a room and spread them on the ground. He said, "Big brother, give me half of the things. I'll carry them." Yun Shan said, "Okay." Then he carried the big box and walked over. This big box was close to 3,000 pounds. It was indeed a bit strenuous for him to carry it. It was fine for a short distance, but if he carried it for a long distance, he was afraid that his speed would be extremely slow. 7th Master Shao stood up with his hand on the sword hilt. He looked at the road and listened carefully. He felt more and more uncomfortable. He couldn't help but urge again, "Hurry up." Yun Shan and Yun Hai felt that something was wrong at the same time. 7th Master was usually the most patient. Moreover, he was always calm even if a mountain collapsed in front of him. But what happened today? Since they started to pack up the belongings, Seventh Master had already urged them several times. But right at this moment, a desolate, lonely, and ancient aura suddenly filled the sky. Seventh Master Zhao's eyes flashed with sword-like light. He suddenly raised his head. My feeling wasn't wrong. They've really come. At this moment, the messy emotions in Seventh Master Zhao's heart were completely restrained and disappeared. What replaced it was a battle intent that had been washed away. Seventh Master Zhao didn't move, but his body was already surrounded by sword aura. Since you've come, hurry up and attack. Seventh Master Zhao shouted coldly. As if responding to his words, a black shadow suddenly appeared in the distance. The moment it appeared, a sword light flashed fiercely. Then, it appeared in front of Seventh Master Zhao's eyes in a flash, just like the legendary shrinking distance. Seventh Master Zhao's pupils contracted. It's so fast. It's so powerful. This is the most brilliant enemy that I've encountered since I started my cultivation. This will also be the most dangerous battle in my life. Seventh Master Zhao's long sword was already in his hand. He was still empty-handed just now, but the long sword was already in his hand without any sound. He turned his body and jumped. A round and bright sword light appeared directly. It was the killing move of man and sword as one. The moment Seventh Master Zhao saw the opponent, he knew that if he didn't go all out in the face of such an enemy, he would only be killed unjustly. He wouldn't even have a complete corpse. So, he used man and sword as one. But the black shadow was too fast. It rushed over like lightning. The two sword lights collided with each other silently and then separated with a bang. Seventh Master Zhao's sword light was defeated in one blow. This was simply unimaginable. Ever since Seventh Master Zhao became the Sword Emperor, he had never thought that such a situation would happen. Seventh Master Zhao staggered back. He looked at the man in black who continued to chase after him in horror and exclaimed, "Sword Emperor?" The man in black didn't answer him. He didn't stop and continued to rush forward. Seventh Master Zhao shouted and tried his best to block. He knew that he was definitely not the opponent. But he still had to risk his life. At this moment, he would only die if he didn't risk his life. At this moment, Yun Shan and Yun Hai finally reacted. They roared loudly and rushed forward. But the man in black was even faster. His long sword connected the whole heaven and earth at this moment. In an instant, there were 1,500 swords slashing towards Seventh Master Zhao like a storm. Seventh Master Zhao felt cold all over and a sense of despair surged up. He tried his best to block with his long sword, but he couldn't. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Seventh Master Zhao's clothes were torn into pieces in an instant. Streaks of blood appeared, but they weren't deep. Seventh Master Zhao felt strange after escaping from death. This person's cultivation is obviously far above mine. He can kill me easily. Why didn't he kill me? Why did he just leave some small wounds on my body? Chapter 840. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Regarding this matter, Seventh Master Zhao couldn't figure it out. Logically speaking, since he had such strength, wouldn't it be easy to kill him? But he didn't kill him. Is he playing with me? Just as he was wondering, the black-robed man hit his chest with his palm like lightning. A sword light flashed and went into his mouth, piercing his tongue. Seventh Master Zhao was furious and said, "Kill me if you want. Why are you making fun of me?" But the black-robed man didn't say a word. He quickly retreated and avoided Yun Shan and Yun Hai. He went behind the two of them like a ghost, and the two boxes on the ground disappeared instantly. The black-robed man jumped up and disappeared in a flash. From the moment the black-robed man appeared to the moment he left, it didn't even take half a breath's time. But the sword genius of the Zhao clan, Seventh Master Zhao, had been defeated. He was injured. He even wandered around the threshold of death countless times. And he didn't die in the end because the other party showed mercy. But for a proud person like Seventh Master Zhao, this kind of mercy was not as comfortable as being cut into pieces. Seventh Master Shao opened his eyes in grief and indignation. He watched the black-robed man disappear into the night sky. Then, he spat out a mouthful of blood and staggered backward. He sat on the ground and his whole body trembled. It wasn't fear, but anger. Seventh Master Shao was crazy about swords all his life. He rarely suffered a crushing defeat. But it wasn't that he didn't suffer any defeats. But today, he didn't even have the strength to fight back and was beaten to a pulp. Moreover, the other party was like a cat playing with a mouse, scratching him here and there, cutting his clothes until he was even more miserable than a beggar, but he didn't kill him. The most excessive thing was that the sword pierced into his mouth, but only pierced his tongue a little. The other party didn't kill him. Are you fucking here to humiliate me? Seventh Master Shao roared to the sky. His tears fell down in grief and indignation. It was too shameful, too humiliating. Recalling the cold feeling of the sword piercing into his mouth, Seventh Master Shao couldn't help but vomit. As he vomited, he cursed and cried. He lay on the ground and panted. "Come and kill me if you have the guts." Seventh Master Shao said angrily. Yunshan and Yunhai stood beside Seventh Master Shao awkwardly and said, "Seventh Master, the other party is the sword's sovereign king. Losing to such a person isn't shameful at all." Seventh Master Shao roared angrily, "So what if he's the king? Even if he is a supreme being, he can't humiliate me like this. A warrior prefers death to humiliation. Such humiliation, what the fuck is going on?" Yunshan and Yunhai were speechless. To be honest, today's matter was indeed sullen. No one was afraid of death. They were all Jianghu people, so wasn't life and death a very normal thing? In Jianghu, if you don't kill someone, you'll be killed. But this kind of naked humiliation didn't seem like something an expert would do. Novel network/killing people is just a matter of nodding your head to the ground. After scolding for a while, Seventh Master Shao finally calmed down. He panted and said, "Fuck." Yunshan and Yunhai were slightly relieved. They moved forward and asked, "Seventh Grandpa, are you all right?" Seventh Master Shao felt uncomfortable in his chest and abdomen. He spat out another mouthful of blood. He gritted his teeth and said, "I won't die." At this moment, 4 figures came in from the outside like a hurricane. When they saw Seventh Master Shao sitting on the ground and spitting out blood, the person in the front laughed loudly. "Seventh Master Shao. Fuck you. Run away. Why don't you run away? Fuck you. How dare you play tricks in front of the 13th Master? Is this what your ancestors taught you?" It was Yi Wubwa. As Yi Wubwa chased, he realized that there was a fire in front of him. It turned out to be the Shao clan's branch clan. He instantly took pleasure in 7th Master Zhao's misfortune. Then, he saw 7th Master Shao sitting on the ground and spitting out blood. His clothes were torn and tattered by them. He felt even more comfortable. This guy used the secret technique of burning his life. Sure enough, he couldn't hold on for long. Luckily the 13th Master, was far-sighted and chased him relentlessly. I finally intercepted this guy who was at the end of his rope. Let's see where you can run to. Just when 7th Master Shao was suffering, another 4 people came out of nowhere. It was 5 people. One of them was actually being carried by someone else. Before 7th Master Shao could see clearly who it was, the other party scolded him furiously. Immediately, Shao Qi was puzzled and furious. Only then did he see clearly that it was an acquaintance. It was the 13th Master of the Yi clan, Yi Wubwa. 7th Master Shao was originally annoyed, angry, and sorrowful. When he heard Yi Wubwa's impolite words, he instantly flared up and said furiously, "Yi Wubwa, I haven't seen you for a few days and you've become so impolite. How can you speak like that? How can you say such words? You're simply a bastard." Although the two of them weren't very familiar with each other, they had met each other a few times. Since they were all descendants of big clans, how could they not meet each other frequently? When they met each other in the past, they would just nod and smile. They didn't dare to have a deep relationship with each other, but they also wouldn't offend each other. So, 7th Master Shao didn't like what Yi Wubwa said today. "Fuck your grandmother." The fire in Yi Wubwa's eyes flickered, and he scolded furiously, "Seventh Master Shao, do you still think you're innocent?" Seventh Master Shao stood up suddenly. He felt that his chest was going to explode from anger. He said, "Yi Wuba, you bastard! Have I dug up your ancestral grave? Why are you scolding me with your mouth full of shit? You're really ridiculous. Our two clans are both heavenly clans, and we've always been on good terms. How can you say such words today? What's your intention?" Seventh Master Shao was furious, but he didn't expect Yi Wuba to be even more furious after hearing this. "Do you really think I'm a fool? You said you're not Seventh Master Shao when you put on the mask, but you're Seventh Master Shao when you take off the mask? We've just fought, and Big Nyo, who was injured by you, is still on Big Nyo's back. Now that you're at a disadvantage, you still have the face to talk about the friendship between our two clans? Friendship your ass." Yi Wuba was so angry that he laughed. "Seventh Master Shao, we've known each other for dozens of years. Only today did I realize that you're such a genius. You're really a genius? Do you really think I'm a fool? How can you speak so eloquently?" Seventh Master Shao was so angry that he was seeing stars. He pointed at Yi Wuba and shouted, "Yi Wuba, if you don't give me an explanation today, I'll never let this matter rest." Yi Wuba smiled sinisterly. "You still want to let this matter rest? You're dreaming." He pointed at Seventh Master Shao with his long sword and shouted, "Seventh Master Shao, you killed my men, sneak attacked me and played with me for 18 years. Tonight, you even seriously injured my right-hand man and almost killed him. I, Yi Wuba, am absolutely irreconcilable with you. Today is the day you die. Go." Wait. Seventh Master Shao shouted. No matter how slow-witted he was, after hearing Yi Wuba's words, he understood that he and Yi Wuba had been schemed against. What did he mean by, "killed my men, sneak attacked me tonight and played with me for 18 years? It's too strange." "Yi Wuba, calm down. I'm afraid we've fallen into a vicious trap tonight." Seventh Master Shao finally understood why that person didn't kill him just now. "I see. He wants me and Yi Wuba to have a life-and-death battle so as to cause a conflict between the Shao clan and the Yi clan." Seventh Master Shao originally didn't want to talk much. His tongue had been stabbed, and every word he said now would cause him great pain. But now that he had fallen into a trap, he had no choice but to speak. If it were someone else, not from a big clan, there wouldn't be such serious consequences. If you misunderstood, then so be it. But Yi Wuba was not only a member of a big clan, but also a descendant of the Yi clan, which was ranked number 1. If this misunderstanding wasn't clarified, the consequences would be serious. After hearing Seventh Master Zhao's words, Yi Wuba tilted his head and looked at Seventh Master Shao with interest. "You mean, we've all fallen into a vicious trap?" Seventh Master Zhao's face was solemn. "Yes. Brother Yi, don't be impulsive. Listen to me. This is really a misunderstanding. If you and I were to fight each other because of a misunderstanding, wouldn't we fall into a trap? Wouldn't we hurt our loved ones and delight our enemies? Pain for those close to you, but joy for those who hate you." Yi Wuba's ghost fire-like eyes looked even weirder under the illumination of the surrounding flames. His expression also became more interesting. "Seventh Master Shao, you're saying that you didn't do all these?" Seventh Master Shao shook his head seriously. "I don't dare to be called Seventh Master Shao by Brother Yi. But these things really weren't done by me. Brother Yi, you have to believe me." Yi Wuba drew back the corners of his mouth and smiled. "So, you didn't kill old Third Ma?" Seventh Master Shao was stunned. "What old Third Ma? I haven't even heard of him. Besides, I, Seventh Master Shao, have never killed a nameless person." Yi Wuba smiled. "Yes, I've never killed a nameless person." He thought in his heart, "I'm not a nameless person." Then he asked patiently and teasingly, "So, Chu Feilong isn't your man too?" Seventh Master Shao said gloomily, "Brother Yi, this is a joke. Isn't Chu Feilong a member of the Chu clan in the Flat Mountain Ridge? The Chu clan is just a small clan. How can I take a liking to Chu Feilong? But you, why did Chu Feilong suddenly appear?" "Well, you don't know Chu Feilong too. You're so clean. So, the one who fought with me just now wasn't you too? Yi Wubua's expression was very strange. He seemed to be smiling. Under his calm face, there seemed to be a volcano that was about to erupt. Seventh Master Shao swallowed a mouthful of bloody saliva and said anxiously, "Just now? Of course not. Brother Yi, I've been here all this time and didn't move at all. Brother Yi, you've finally said the main point. You've been here all this time and didn't move at all." Yi Wubua repeated doubtfully. Suddenly, he roared like a thunderbolt. "If you didn't move at all, where did your injuries come from? Do you have nothing better to do than to cut yourself?" Seventh Master Shao, you're not as stupid as you look. Seventh Master Shao didn't know how to explain himself. He wanted to cry but had no tears. Just now, someone came to fight with me. When you came, he just left. Just left. Yi Wubua nodded his head hard and laughed mockingly. What a coincidence. It's really a coincidence? Seventh Master Shao smiled bitterly. It's really a coincidence? So coincidental that I'm really speechless. Yi Wubua nodded his head repeatedly and looked at Seventh Master Shao with an astonished look. He praised from the bottom of his heart, "Seventh Master Shao, you're awesome. You're talented. 700 votes. I'm still working hard. While you're voting, I'm also not idle. I've just sent a screenshot to the group. I've already written more than 20,000 words today. I haven't stopped for even a moment. In order to repay everyone's enthusiasm. Monthly votes. Can it be more intense?" Chapter 841. Seventh Master Shao could only smile bitterly. He knew that Yi Wubua didn't believe him, but he still tried his best to say, "Yi Wubua, to be honest, am I someone who's afraid of trouble? Even if we really fight, do you think that I, Seventh Master Shao, will be afraid of you?" Seventh Master Shao said sincerely, "If I did all these things, why do I need to explain to you? Isn't it more straightforward to have a fight? Brother Yi, you must believe in my painstaking efforts." Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Latest update asterisk asterisk asterisk. Yi Wubua laughed and said admiringly from the bottom of his heart, Seventh Master Shao, I really admire you. How did you grow that mouth of yours? I'm puzzled. When your upper lip touches your lower lip, the white becomes black, and when your lower lip touches your upper lip, the black becomes white again. Yi Wubua said speechlessly, Seventh Master Shao, if you have such a mouth, why do you still practice swordsmanship? You can just stick out your tongue and rush up to any opponent you see. Even a supreme martial artist isn't your opponent. This mouth, together with your thick skin, you're unrivaled in this world. Seventh Master Zhao's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. He said angrily, You don't believe me? Yi Wubua said, Don't talk nonsense with me. I only want to ask you, how did you get those injuries on your body? Don't talk nonsense like you've just fought with someone. Why aren't your two subordinates injured? You've just fought with someone here, and you're already injured like this. How can your two subordinates be so unharmed? Seventh Master Shao said angrily, That person fought with me alone, and the time was very short. Once they started fighting, I was defeated. They didn't have time to do anything. Why, you don't believe me? Yi Wubua said smilingly, Then, I heard that you don't seem to be very energetic when you talk, and your tongue seems to be in pain. Can I know what happened to your tongue? Seventh Master Zhao's face turned red, and he said angrily, It was cut by that person's sword. But, you don't believe me? Yi Wubua's expression was strange. Can I understand it this way? Just now, someone came and exchanged blows with you. Your two subordinates didn't have time to react, and you were seriously injured. This person slashed you hundreds of times with his sword in one move, but you're still safe and sound. Then this person inserted a sword into your mouth and lightly cut your tongue. Then this person left and we came, right? Seventh Master Shao nodded. That's right. What you said is not at all. Yi Wubua's face changed and he laughed. The three people behind him laughed mockingly at the same time. Even the heavily injured goatee elder, who was carried on his brother's back, couldn't help but laugh mockingly. Asterisk asterisk. Latest update asterisk asterisk. What a fantastic story! Yi Wubwa laughed until he was out of breath. Seventh Master Shao, in the history of the heavenly layer, you're undoubtedly the number one in terms of eloquence, fabricating nonsense, lying and making irresponsible remarks. Seventh Master Zhao's face turned cold. He said, Yi Wubwa, don't think that I'm afraid of you. I've already done my best and have a clear conscience. If you don't believe me, I can't do anything about it. When the truth comes to light in the future, I'm afraid that you'll be too ashamed to show your face. Done my best and have a clear conscience. Ha! Yi Wubwa rocked back and forth. Finally, his face changed into a cold and vicious one. He scolded, Seventh Master Shao, fuck your mother. Seventh Master Shao, damn your ancestors. Seventh Master Shao, I'll overturn 18 generations of your ancestors. You're a despicable and shameless bastard. You're a dirty and obscene bastard. You're a shameless bastard. You're a heartless motherfucker. You actually played me like a fool. Isn't it enough that you've played me for 18 years? Now, you're telling such a big lie to my face. This scolding was really the culmination of all the scolding techniques. Yi Wubwa scolded all of Seventh Master Zhao's female relatives, from his ancestors to his descendants. Seventh Master Shao couldn't restrain his anger anymore. His face turned extremely dangerous and red. He breathed heavily, Yi Wubwa, you're a bastard whose mouth is full of shit. You actually think that I'm afraid of you? That I've played you for 18 years? Damn your ancestors. Do you think that you're a virgin? Do I have so much interest in playing you for 18 years? Pooh. Since you want to fight, then let's fight. Don't tell me that I, Seventh Master Shao, can't kill the 13th Master of the Yi clan tonight? Both of them were furious. Yi Wubwa waved his hand, go! Slaughter him to death for me. Regardless of the cost, he had to destroy this bastard here. The 13th Master will bear all the consequences. Seventh Master Shao pointed with his long sword and roared, kill these bastards from the Yi clan. Don't worry, I'll bear all the consequences. I'll fuck his ancestors to death. With a shout, both sides were already burning with rage. There was no need for any more encouragement. With a strange cry, they began to fight. Yunshan and Yunhai joined forces to fight against the three experts of the Yi clan. Everyone was shouting loudly and fighting fiercely. Every strike of their saber was aimed at the opponent's vital parts. Every strike of their sword was aimed at the opponent's head. Yi Wubwa and Seventh Master Shao went straight to the point. It was a battle of kings. One of them gritted his teeth, while the other was furious. Killing moves and unique skills came out of their mouths, and filthy words came out of their mouths. Both of them fought and scolded each other at the same time. They fought fiercely and scolded each other fiercely. In just a short while, all the ancestors of the Yi clan and the Shao clan in the past 10,000 years had been called out and scolded several times. Both of them were actually on par with each other. Although Seventh Master Shao was 2 levels lower than Yi Wubwa, he was a sword emperor. If both of them were in good condition, after a fierce battle, either both of them would be injured, or Yi Wubwa would die and Seventh Master Shao would be crippled. There was such a subtle difference between them. But Yi Wubwa had fought with the sword spirit first. He was injured and his strength was reduced by 30%. And Seventh Master Shao had just been severely humiliated by the sword spirit. This palm shook his internal organs, but it weakened Seventh Master Zhao's strength by 35%. In this way, both of them were on par with each other in terms of strength. There was a saying, when one meets his match, a general will meet a talent. When one meets his match, one will fight for victory and defeat, and when a general meets a talent, one will gamble on victory and defeat. In the darkness, the sword spirit and Chu Yang were watching the fight with great delight. Under the illumination of the fire, it was simply one of the greatest pleasures in life to watch such a great show. It's such a pity. If Seventh Master Zhao's sword was a little lower, Yi Wubwa's right leg would be gone. Yes, if Yi Wubwa's sword was a little higher, Seventh Master Zhao's leg would also fly off. Seventh Master Shao is an idiot. He doesn't know how to be flexible. Yi Wubwa is a good-for-nothing. He's too conformist. Chu Yang and the sword spirit commented as they watched the fight. They were in high spirits. When they saw the exciting parts, both of them couldn't wait to come out and criticize. It's so satisfying. It's so satisfying. The two unscrupulous fellows stayed in the same body, winking and laughing as they took pleasure in other people's misfortune. Two screams sounded at the same time. Yun Shan's left leg was stabbed, while the shoulder of the monarch-level expert who was carrying the elder with a goatee on Yi Wubua's side was slashed fiercely. His shoulder was almost chopped off. Both of them screamed at the same time and became furious. The battle between monarch-level experts was different from that between ordinary martial artists. Qi followed the heart, and the heart followed the sword. No matter where it was stabbed or chopped, the destructive qi would penetrate deeply and destroy the skin, meridians, tendons and bones. Both of them retreated immediately and desperately operated their martial arts to force out the other party's qi. At the same time, they gritted their teeth and cursed at each other. On the other side, the battle between Yi Wubua and 7th Master Xiao was getting more and more dangerous. Up till now, they were already exchanging injuries for injuries and risking their lives for another. Their words were also getting harsher and harsher. They even brought out the old scandals from many years ago to attack the other party. Does your Yi clan still have any good things? For the power of your clan, you didn't hesitate to betray your own daughter and sacrifice her happiness. What kind of number one clan is there? How many men do you have in your Yi clan? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? You're just like your ancestors, snobbish. Bastard. 7th Master Xiao cursed. Yi Wubua shouted furiously, bullshit. What do you know? 7th Master Xiao waved his sword and laughed. Am I wrong? Your sister Yi Chuchen was originally in love with Mengyin, the Duke of the Meng clan, which was a vassal clan of your Yi clan. But in order to form an alliance with the Ling clan, you forcibly separated them. You wanted your sister to marry the second Duke of the Ling clan, Ling Hanwu. Yi Wubua attacked crazily and shouted furiously, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Seeing that he flew into a rage out of humiliation, 7th Master Xiao was even more pleased. What's the result? Yi Chuchen would rather die than submit. Mengyin was deeply in love with her, and Ling Hanwu, as a man, took the initiative to withdraw. Your Yi clan lost everything. What else do you have besides becoming a joke in the heavens? So what if you've killed everyone in the Meng clan? So what if you've imprisoned your own daughter? Can you shut the mouths of the people in the world? Can you turn a joke into glory? Despicable. What number one clan? Pooh. Yi Wubua was furious and retorted, is your Xiao clan a noble figure? You're just a bunch of thieves and prostitutes. Back then, your granduncle Xiao Qingyue overestimated himself and wandered the martial world. But he was castrated and became impotent ever since. His concubines actually had an affair with a coachman. It's really glorious. So what if your Xiao clan has killed everyone? A bastard is a bastard. A tortoise is a tortoise. Yi Wubua laughed loudly. 7th Master Xiao was so angry that he scolded loudly, what do you know? Your Yi clan only knows how to make groundless accusations. A bunch of shameless bastards. If we're shameless, then you're a family of thieves and prostitutes. A family of cuckolds. A family of living bastards, including you. 7th Master Xiao, you're known as a sword maniac. I heard that you didn't touch your wife after finding one? I really don't know who your wife is. If there's really no other way, let her come to me. 7th Master Xiao. I'll satisfy her for you. The more they spoke, the more vicious their words became. They exposed each other's scars and scolded each other viciously. As a result, 7th Master Xiao became more and more furious. Since their strengths were equally matched, he had to think of ways to make the other party confused. Once the other party was confused, he would have an opportunity to take advantage of it. Since they had already shed all pretenses of cordiality and were going to have a life-and-death battle, what else was there to worry about? You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.